What is going on, everybody? Welcome to NYJ Today. Mike, you're here.
I am here, John.
You
I am
managed.
here.
You managed. I got to adjust your head because you're looking at the ceiling a little bit too much. Point your camera down a little bit for me.
Pointed a little bit down. It's a
Yeah,
little too far north.
yeah, that's all right. It
Got
is
you.
great to be here. Everybody's saying hello. Isaac Wright, good to see you, my man. We got Grant Root, of course. Hey, everybody. Hope you all had a great day. Yes, today was a busy day, but a good day. Stephen Engel says, what up, peeps? Legend Killer, I need some NYJ today. And Isaac says, facts. It is great to be here. Happy Wednesday to everybody. It's a big show. We got a lot to go over. Training camp has started. James, how you doing, man?
Good to see you guys again. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and it's like somebody messed up the programming of the show. We messed up because you're not doing any film breakdowns. I'm not even really sure why you're here, to be honest with you. Mike, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Always and forever. It's always good to be back with you guys.
Yep. And so we're going to do something a little different to start the show. I had been trying like crazy to get people to do voicemails. And after doing this for about 6 months, I've done a little self-reflection. And some people are into that kind of thing. But a lot of people are not interested in having their voice online. So we are going to do a little twist. So I threw out a mailbag on Twitter earlier in the week. And that's now going to be the opener to the show. So it's essentially voicemails, but really it's just, text or whatever. So if you guys want to be included in the mailbag at the beginning of every Wednesday show, submit your your tweets to me. I will send out that tweet probably sometime on like Monday morning would be my guess. And the voicemails are still an option. That's not going away. So if you want to leave a voicemail, still feel free to do that. But I'm going to defer to the mailbag now just because I feel like that's what most people are going to want to do. And we got a lot of mailbag. Today we got 6 people who actually messaged in, so that was great. Grant Rood said the voicemails are great. There's just been nothing to talk about. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Yep. And hello to you, Gitmo Bob. He says another Jets talk evening. Yes. All right. We're going to get right to it. First of its kind. We are going to do the first mailbag. And feel free in the chat to respond to the mailbags. And I will display, what you guys have to say about them. So here's the first one. Oh, and I didn't share my screen with you, gentlemen. Hold on. Wait a minute. Share your screen, you dumb, you know what. All right, can you guys see my eCam?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, my apologies.
That's right.
So Kenneth O'Brien on Facebook, he said, should we lower our expectations for Zach Wilson this season? And that he wasn't necessarily reacting to anything. It wasn't in regards to training camp. He was just asking, should we lower our expectations for Zach Wilson? He's a rookie, and I assume that's kind of what he's going at. Mike, you're up to bat. You're looking good. You get a haircut today?
No, I think I just woke up on the right side of the bed, I guess. I don't know.
It looks great. So why don't you go first?
Well, I think that statement, that question is subjective to each of us. I mean, we all talked about what our expectations were for Zach, just like we asked ourselves what the expectations for Robert were, what the expectations for Joe were. I mean, we've all kind of addressed those questions before the draft, after the draft, and now before the season starts. And I will say, I'm sure the chat will be the first one to check me because a lot of these discussions are in the NYJ Today archives. I would say that I feel like I've stayed pretty realistic with what I'm expecting out of Zach. I think a lot of the expectations really is tied to Mike LaFleur and what he brings to the table with an offensive play style and how much pressure is put on Zach, on first down versus third down. how he diversifies the touches, the looks. I would say if those things check out, I think it's realistic to think that Zach will have a pretty solid year because he's being put in a position to be successful. And if those things don't pan out, then I think I would set my expectations to be like, hey, he's gonna have some rough games. We can't let that falter. We can't let the New York media, see that and tear that apart and open up a wound that really isn't there. But I would just say that my expectations for Zach will go up and down as I see Mike LaFleur's offense roll out. I think that's the best way I can say it.
You brushed your hair, or you didn't brush your hair. I'm not sure what you did. You woke up on the right side of the pillow. Nice answer. I do think that a lot of it plays into Mike LaFleur. James, what do you think? Should we be lowering our expectations for Zach Wilson for his rookie season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what exactly your expectations are. If you expect him to be great, I think maybe you need to lower that expectation a little bit. There are going to be games, like Mike said, where it's not going to be, or it's not going to look as good as we expect it to. I think there's a consistency factor that sort of takes place over time. I mean, we kind of saw it in the past where, we kind of got off to a hot start in the 2018 season, and then things kind of tailored off near the end. And so I think you guys are right in terms of, for the quarterback, it's going to depend on, and Zach specifically, it's going to depend on Mike LaFleur, how he runs this offense. He's a first-time play caller. I know he has experience, but he's a first-time play caller. And so that's important. And then it's how the rest of the pieces do around him. How well is Zach protected? If Zach's protected and this wide receiver core plays like I think we think they can play, I do expect a good season from Zach. But if you're expecting something otherworldly or great right off the bat, then yes, I think you do need to maybe temper those expectations a little bit.
I think that's fair and in bounds. I'll go to the chat first. So a couple of people put in there real quick. John H., and I apologize. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name. I don't want to butcher you. John says, I'm pumped. Been getting good feedback from the training camp from all these great YouTube bloggers. Yeah, and guys, I'll be honest with you. It's absolutely gutting me that I can't go to these practices. When we booked our vacations at the end of summer, I didn't even really think about the fact that I could have been going to these practices because tickets were free, obviously. So it's been killing me not to be able to go. All of the videos that I've been doing have just been based on what everybody else is saying. And so I just give my own feedback. But you're right, John. Lots of good feedback coming out in regards to Zach, too, especially. Thomas said, Zach Marino, you know what my expectations are. And I think he's joking a little bit, but he has been saying that for months. He's been talking about, the quick release, and he feels like he can come out and he can light it up. He can have a really good season. Stephen Engel, fuck lowering expectations. All gas, no brake. Love that. All right. So my quick thought is yes. I think we do need to lower expectations. That doesn't mean that you can't be super excited and enthused and that you can't have high hopes for Zach, because I do have high hopes. But you touched on it, James. There are going to be weeks where our rookie offensive coordinator, our rookie head coach, our rookie quarterback, there's just going to be something that doesn't vibe that Sunday. And so there will be games where we're like, damn, like we didn't even look like we knew what was going on. Like we weren't ready. They got out coached or whatever it may be. And so I feel like that could definitely be something that happens. And so, yes, lower our expectations just slightly. Not a party pooper situation by any means, but just keep in mind, we got a lot of new blood in this organization, and so there's going to be a lot to sort through. Let's see. Stephen Engel, he says, if it's 4th and short and at the 50 or the opposing team's side, there is a 100% chance we're going for it every time. Now, we won't go for it every time, but I know that's not exactly what you're saying. But that's an interesting kind of question to talk about, because for a long time, the Jets almost have ignored analytics And the whole idea of going for it, even though you may be winning or you may be ahead, you see a lot of teams doing that kind of stuff now. Like the Baltimore Ravens, I know John Harbaugh.
I disagree.
You disagree with?
I mean, during the Rex era, we used to go on 4th downs all the time, if I remember correctly.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I thought you meant like Jets overall history. I thought that's what you said.
Just it's been a long time. That's all.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Rex went for it on 4th down to beat the Chargers. It sealed the deal.
That's right.
That awesome, F this, we're going for it. We're going to win the game. Rolling around on the sideline. Anyway, I would love to see our coaching staff take that approach to be more aggressive, to go with the analytics, and, just take risks. I mean, we can live with the risks. Like, I don't know. That's just how I see it. All right. Gitmo says, I wouldn't lower our expectations, but maybe adjust them as we see how the offense works. James talked about the offensive line. We still don't know what that, how they're going to gel super early in the season. Maybe they have a hard time versus those 2 former first-round picks, Brian Burns and the Auburn kid, who I can never remember his damn name. What's the Auburn guy's name? Do you know, James? I can't remember.
On Carolina?
Derek Brown. I just remember. Derek Brown. From Auburn. I think they drafted him like 9th overall. So they definitely have some studs up front. And so it's definitely fair to say, let's just see how the offensive line performs before we start going crazy with our expectations. Let's see. Grant Reed says the system Zach Wilson's going into should temper expectations right off the bat. They're going to run a lot. As long as he looks competent and shows growth, I'm good. And I think that's fair. The statistics side of it, he might not have a million opportunities to throw the ball. Doesn't mean he can't be efficient and can't produce, but I think Grant's completely in bounds in saying that. I think we will be a run-first team, and that could lower his statistics overall. So the chat is already blowing past me. Can't keep up. Let's see. I will get to it once we go to the next mailbag. I'll try to read while you guys are talking about it. Mailbag number 2. And Eagle Fang 86, he's a new Twitter follower. He's been very, very active on my tweets, and I thank him for that. I think it's great. He says, are you worried about Ashton Davis as a football player yet? I've noted that I believe in him, and I think it's too early to give up on him. He's asking now because he's going to be out until week 2. That's the early prognostic or the early forecast for when he'll be back. Mike went first. James, you're next. Are you starting to get worried about Ashton Davis as a football player yet?
No, I don't think I'm worried about him yet. I mean, going into his second year, it stinks that he's got to be out until week 2 because it is a new defense, and he is such a young player. All that time matters, and obviously you could spend as much time as you want in the classroom and classroom meaning film room and the meeting rooms, and he's there for all of that good stuff. But there's nothing really quite like the reps and seeing it on the field, especially kind of as a safety, seeing everything in front of you, and how the rest of the guys work around you. That's really important. So for him right now, I mean, it's definitely a bummer that he can't be around, because I mean, he had a decent rookie year. I think maybe expected with the rest of the defense, it wasn't all great or all good at all last year. And so you would kind of expect a rookie to kind of come in and have his struggles as well. But I wouldn't worry about him yet as a football player. I think he's superior athletically, which always gives you that head start. He's versatile in where you can put him. It's just going to be really experience and reps and kind of what happens when he comes back in week 2. We're going to have 3 preseason games now. We're going to have 2 weeks of seeing other guys play, football games. And so, how does he gel in with the rest of the crew when it's his time to play?
Very fair. Mike, any concerns with Ashton? Any concerns with Ashton Davis? He is injured right now, so any concerns?
No, I don't. I think the injury itself, I mean, they sound pretty good that they rehab it. We shouldn't see him go down again. However, that's never a guarantee. So I think I'm with James that there is no concern given the fact that, we're starting from a fresh slate. It's always good to have players in there developing at the same cadence, starting from the same starting point. Ashton won't be at that point, but I think he'll be able to make up ground. And I think the coaching staff that we have will be good. I think if he goes down again and this team starts to move past him, especially into the next season, that becomes a concern for me anyway. I just think that we're starting from a fresh slate. There's a lot of room for him to make up ground. However, that window will close as we get later and later into the season and move towards the next season at that point.
I'm gonna spice it up because Ashton was a guy that I was saying, don't give up on, and I still believe that. I don't think that anybody should be ready to give up on him, but I am concerned because when you think about the offseason that he had last year, it was the shortened pandemic season. They didn't really get a lot of practice time. Excuse me. And now he's not in training camp. He's not going to be playing preseason games. So from a learning perspective, from a development perspective, I am concerned. Doesn't mean that he can't get back in the mix once the season starts and they bring him along slowly. I do feel good about that part of it, but it just sucks that he's still not really had a full off season to really get a stride going. And I would imagine that he's probably super frustrated by it. As a young, all you want is to learn and to get better. And he just really hasn't had that opportunity. So that part, worried. Go ahead, Mike.
I imagine what kind of situation we'd be in if the Marcus May situation was different. I mean, we could really be in a tough spot because I think the idea was if Marcus May left, if we didn't tag him, then Ashton was going to be the next up to really shoulder that workload. In which case, I'm going to go out on a limb, and if I'm looking at this from the wrong angle, gentlemen, please correct me or chat. Which is, if he was going to go down, I'm glad it was in this scenario and not in a scenario where Marcus May was traded, and now we were putting all our eggs in a basket with a guy who's out until after the regular season starts. So, timing you never can plan for it, but I don't think the window's closed on Ashton. But I just wanted to throw that out there. I know you're arguing that. Your points are valid, and I'm glad you're doing a different side to it because we have seen that scenario before. I mean, I think there's countless draft players or new players that were down year after year and just never could come out of that. Yeah, I can't think of one that pops out of my head right now, but I know there are a lot.
I fully understand, and you're right. There's definitely two sides of this coin in this argument. Vervain says Ashton is going to be solid, just needs time to develop. And I like what Grant Rude said because it talks about the NFL draft.
Yeah.
And he said that Davis does need to have a good year. We can all be supportive of the Jets players because we are Jets fans. But ultimately, it's a business, and they're going to move on if he can't get on the field and stay on the field. Availability is one of the key, aspects to a player making it in the NFL. And he says Davis needs to have a good year this year because there are some monster safeties in next year's draft. So I think that's absolutely fair. Joe Douglas will not be, he will not hesitate. If he feels like he can improve, he will do it. There's a couple of chats that I want to get to, and then we will move on. It's going back to what we were talking about earlier, but I do want to get to Braden. Braden, it's good to see you in the chat. He says sacks, interceptions, losses are going to happen, but I'm fully on board. We have an actual football team now. Let's go, man. Let's go, man. I think that's his Robert Saleh impersonation. Gitmo Bob, Jets YouTubers are the reason I don't listen to sports talk radio, which has become like 70% nonsense and 30% sports. I appreciate that. I think that's awesome. It makes us feel good, and I think that for you guys, it's more of what you want. Like, you don't really want to hear Rich Cimini taking a dump at midfield of Jets. At what is it, at Atlantic Training Center? We're really interested in Cimini's, his droppings on the field. So, let's see. John says once we start seeing some real action, we will be able to see where we can go with this team. Harry agrees. He says we will not know anything until we play a game. Frankie, I wish that I was home. We're leaving. I'm going to be in a plane tomorrow night, but it is so nice to be able to say football is back tomorrow. Even though it's preseason, football is back tomorrow night, which is just awesome. And John says I'm pumped. Been getting good feedback. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. My apologies. All right, cool. Thomas believes we're going to draft the safety next year. I don't think there's any doubt because they have Marcus May on a one-year deal, obviously. They have LaMarcus Joyner. His name,
LaMarcus Joyner.
Yeah, I never, for some reason, right away, I never remember his name. But anyway, LaMarcus is on a one-year deal as well. So, yeah, I think it's definitely fair and safe to say that we will probably be adding a safety and maybe even two. Let's see. Steven says Draft Tech has 3 safeties rated as first rounders. That's right now. All right, cool. We will move on and we'll get to our next mailbag. Let me know if you guys like the mailbag. And again, let me know if you want to participate in that. We got a tweet from Darren Tewksbury. He says, which rookie has impressed you the most, not named Wilson or Elijah Moore? And he also says, which free agent signing has impressed you the most? I would love to go first, but I'm not going to do that. Mike, you're up. So let's do the rookie first.
Rookie first. That's a good one. I would say let me think about that. I'll kick it back to you. You should go first.
That's fair. I'm going to let James go first. Rookie that you think is impressing the most.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Brandon Eccles, who got some first team reps today.
Yes, he did.
And while I haven't seen Brandon Eccles play every single snap of training camp, Brandon Eccles isn't going to grab first team reps if he hasn't been playing well. And kind of the second piece is, right, like we keep track of practice for an hour and 20 minutes per day, but there's so much more that goes on throughout the day in terms of meetings, film room, reviewing practice. All that other stuff matters in terms of trying to get reps on the field. And so Brandon Eccles is doing something right for Robert Saleh to say, hey, I want to see this guy playing with the ones. That has nothing to do with Bryce Hall. When you are in training camp, at least from my past experiences, and I don't have any professional experience, but you walk in that morning and outside the locker room is a depth chart. And some days you're third, some days you're 1, some days you're 2. And, especially in the secondary, because you want to try to see guys play against other wide receivers. That means when you're 1, you're playing against the offenses 1. You're going against the Corey Davises of the world and of the Jets and things like that. So for Brandon Eccles to get first team reps today, for Robert Saleh to check him out, I think that he deserves a shout out as a late round rookie.
Awesome. Yeah. Mike, back to you if you want it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I thinking about it, the name was right there. I don't know why I think about it, but I would probably go Michael Carter, running back, taking first team reps. This chat has seen that I'm not a Tevin Coleman fan. I've already put it out there. Tevin Coleman won't keep his job, and so Michael Carter is the most organic thing for me to pick as my I don't know, I can't remember, but proudest moment of a rookie that we have on our team in terms of his development. I think he's going to be great. I will say that, obviously I think we've all read where he's weak, especially picking up the playbook, obviously feeling out the offensive line and just kind of getting his footing as every rookie needs to do. But I think the signs all point to what we thought was going to happen. I know they're still out there. Some are P. Ryan fans, some are Ty Johnson fans, and I still think it's a competition. But I like what I see out of Michael Carter, and I still think all that leads to someone replacing Tevin Coleman. In my opinion, that's going to be Michael Carter, based on I think we see that Robert believes in him, that Michael Floor believes in what he brings to the table. So I like what I see there, and that would be my man.
That's a good name. Michael Carter's definitely having a solid camp, catching the ball out of the backfield, getting some carries. I think he's right in the mix, and I And I don't, it's too early to tell for sure, but I think my one prediction that I was kind of hanging my hat on was Ty Johnson, getting some action, getting some run. I haven't really heard a whole lot. I'm concerned.
Did you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but did you? Me and you were talking about that picture of Ryan that you found,
Yeah.
where it didn't look like he was what his team profile weight is. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was a picture I found on social media of P. Ryan, and he looked just like a dude, like just like his life. I mean, I'm not saying that disrespectfully. Truly, though, I swear to you, the photograph, he just looked like a regular dude walking around. Like, his legs didn't look developed. His shoulders were just like kind of like old man shoulders. Like, it didn't look like he had been hitting the weight room. I'll just say that. And when the pads comes on, some players don't need, a massive amount of muscle. So of course, it may not, mean anything. But yeah, Pete Ryan. That's not our conversation right now, though. Ty Johnson's a little bit concerning to me. My rookie is Chris Nagar.
You're goddamn right.
Kicker, SMU, right? SMU?
Yeah.
Kicker, SMU, Chris Nagar. He had a pretty good game, a pretty good day in practice. I think he hit 4 out of 4. I think it says a lot that they cut Ficken, the veteran, although he was struggling, so it wasn't like it was unwarranted. I think that they maybe have some level of confidence in him, and they didn't necessarily bring in stiff competition. The guy that they brought in looks like a bodybuilder. He looks like what I want P. Ryan to look like. He's an absolute beast. Mike, have you seen this kicker that they brought in?
No, I have not looked at. I haven't seen a picture that you're talking about. I mean, I've seen a picture of him, but not like that.
He's not a dude. He's a beast. He looks like he plays rugby. He looks like a rugby.
Can you bring it up? Do you have anything staged?
I don't have access to it. I'll have to
look it up.
Do a Google search. But he is built like a freaking Mack truck. But anyway, Nagar is my rookie. We need a kicker to step up, and I'm just praying that this kid can get into these preseason games, hit a couple of kicks, build his confidence, prove himself, and maybe we have some. I don't know. So that's my guy. All right, mailbag 3? Is that right? No, 4. Oh, wait, we didn't finish this one. I don't think this one's even worth debating. Most impressive free agent so far?
Corey Davis.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. All right, go ahead then.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Wait, yeah.
Who were you guys saying?
Yeah, probably Carl Lawson. Yeah, I kind of forgot about him. Yeah, but I'll go with Corey Davis.
Go ahead and talk about Corey, because I can talk about Lawson a little bit.
Yeah. So, Corey Davis for me, anyway, I know Michael Nania from Jets X Factor, he was at Monday's practice, and he kind of highlighted out Corey Davis's blocking ability, which I know gets everyone out of their seat, all excited and stuff like that. But that's going to be really important for this running offense, is those blocking tight end, blocking wide receivers. And Corey Davis was really good at it in Tennessee. And it's going to make a huge difference here. So the fact that he's kind of bringing that over to the Jets now, I think it's going to make a massive difference and positive difference in the offense and getting involved. Not a lot of receivers want to get dirty in the blocking game. And so the fact that someone making that money is willing to do so, I'm all in. Sorry,
it wasn't you. It was the chat. Sorry, yeah, Ficken. He got too involved with what Gase was doing before his press conference. Carl Lawson, by all accounts, is just playing his ass off and just completely wrecking the offense. The report that I heard from Connor Hughes is that he got so much pressure on one play that he was actually standing behind Zach Wilson, and then Zach Wilson threw the ball shortly thereafter. He is just getting in. He's getting in there, and he's making his presence felt. So he is, I think, far and away. I mean, when you're talking about the Jets, and since trading away John Abraham, he seems like he could actually be finally the guy that we've needed for so long. So Carl Lawson for me, it's a no-brainer. Mike, you got a different free agent?
I mean,
Don't
I'll
say,
just throw it
don't
out
you
there.
dare say Justin Hardy.
I'm not going to be, although I would love to. It's a guy who hasn't honestly just hadn't had that time to really get a lot of feedback on. But I think Morgan Moses deserves to be in that conversation. I know it's a little premature, just obviously getting signed. Maybe, about a month ago? I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago. I can't remember exactly what the date is. But I do think, especially with the unfortunate injury that happened over the weekend, I just think it's nice. I mean, I know he's competing with George Fant, but I think we know. I think I have optimism that it's going to be Morgan Moses starting at right tackle, and I think that plus Vera-Tucker plus Becton gives us saves our season, saves Zach in terms of being able to have the chance to have a decent season and having realistic expectations for him. So I think you got to put Morgan Moses in there to round out Carl Lawson and Corey Davis, because those are the big three that really give us the foundation to have a better than average year or a less than average year. So I think it's good to have all three of them kind of having the spotlight.
I like your answer with the Morgan Moses pickup. I was really fired up when they signed him, and actually I heard him talk for the first time. Dude's got a voice like me. He's got a higher pitched voice. He's a big dude. he's got a light, delicate voice like your boy. So I thought that was kind of cool. He really does. Seriously, YouTube him up and find Morgan Moses talking. He's got a nice
little angel.
He's got a little a tenor voice. All right. So a lot of people are talking about Mims in the chat right now. We will get to Mims, guys. Don't worry. That is part of the show. And the mailbag, I'm doing a terrible job of moderating how much time we're actually spending on these. I'll try to go a little bit faster on the next few, but I do want to get to them. And maybe I'll have to limit us to maybe like 3 or 4. But I want to incentivize people. So V-Man from Twitter, he says, hey, is it me, or do you have a feeling that Wilson to Moore could overtake Namath to Maynard as the Jets' best QB to wide receiver duo? Also, what in your mind are the top 5 Jets QB to wide receiver duos? I don't know if we'll have time to do all of that, but we will talk about, Wilson to Moore, that duo, and maybe the ability to overtake some of the greats in Jets history. Mike, go first. What do you think? Do they have that capability?
I think it's premature to really even talk about it. I mean, if we just go based on hype and what we see what we saw them do in college, yeah, I think there's no way you can say that they don't have the potential to do that. I mean, and all the signs are great. I mean, Elijah is being compared to Odell. Obviously, Zach and his abilities being compared to multiple different quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, and a number of different ones. I just think I don't see the point of even talking about it until we actually see them play a real game. So I like the question. It gets me all giddy to really go down the rabbit hole into delusion and excitement, which is nothing wrong with that for any Jet fan out there. I've been there. I just, having been burnt, because John will know this, I fell down that rabbit hole for Vernon Golson. When we drafted Vernon Golson, I thought we had the next Lawrence Taylor. I literally thought John will tell you, I was pretty much in man love with that guy. And it was so heartbreaking to see that just break me. And I kind of, from that day on, always have checked myself from going too far until I actually see these guys put their cleats onto the field. So I think there's no way, just based on what we see from game tape and their college careers, yeah, there's no doubt they have the potential to do that. Does it always pan out that way? We'll find out.
That's a great answer, Mike. Really funny and very good. You're right, though, to not get too far ahead of yourself. It's like the worst cock block feeling ever to just think that you're right there and then it just totally backfires. James, thoughts on them as a duo that could maybe not, we don't have to necessarily talk about Maynard and Namath, but could they become a really good duo? I think that's fair to ask.
Yeah, no, they can definitely become a very good duo. Namath and Maynard, rarefied air, so they can't be touched yet until we start winning some ball games. But yeah, no, they can be Wilson and Elijah Moore can be as good as they want to be. They both seem to have kind of almost that obsessive character trait in terms of just wanting to play ball and not worrying about much else. And yeah, I think they could be as good as they want to be, and it seems like they have that drive to really be great. So we should be excited. But Namath, he gets put in his own category until we bring home a Lombardi trophy.
Yep. And you're right. They have that potential. They both seem to have an incredible drive. And again, I know a lot of people will say like, oh, Sam Darnold, like we were all saying the same things. We said a lot of things about Sam Darnold, but I don't know if I ever really said that I saw this fierce desire to be truly great and like the work ethic and all of that. And Elijah Moore, I think he's doing things that I haven't seen a wide receiver do for the New York Jets in terms of work habits and just wanting to connect with the quarterback. So yeah, it's a big deal. And I have extremely high hopes for them. A couple of people in the chat that I haven't seen in a while, Payo Time. He has an NFL channel. I mean, he does cover the Rams, but he also talks a lot of NFL stuff. So guys, check him out if you haven't already. And then also Gumball. We haven't heard from you. It's been a while, Gumball. Good to see you, man. He 5 to 6 wins. Area 49ers, a 49ers fan that was checking in for our draft, mock drafts. It's good to see you in the chat as well. Before I keep going, guys, if you would do me a favor and hit that like button. We got about 30 heads in here right now. Hit the button for me and give us some likes. We greatly appreciate it. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and get to the next one. And the next one says, oh, that's not the next one. That was the one we just did. All right, this is the last one. And this is from CD2K. And CD2K has been following a long time. And he says, pass protection requires familiarity and coordination. How long for this line to become respectable and then to being good? Last year, they became respectable by about week 8. And I think I asked you that question, James, when we were streaming, just the two of us.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about, and sorry, I put it away too fast. How long for them to become respectable and then ultimately developing into what their ceiling is as a unit? Mike, why don't you go first?
We're talking offensive line or D line? I didn't hear that part.
No, sorry. I got distracted. I bet Mike's man love is the best man love.
Oh, it is.
What was your question, Mike?
Is it O-line or D-line?
O-line. We're talking about the offensive line. When do you think they'll develop into the unit that they're going to ultimately be for the majority of the season?
I say by mid-season. I'm going to say if we don't see that cohesion by then I would start to be curious about injuries that aren't being necessarily reported, or trainers telling the staff to go light on them. But if those individuals stay healthy, I don't think it's going to take very long for that O-line to get their groove. I think each of those pieces and how they were put in place complement each other really well. Of course, even let's just say George Fant wins out and it's George Fant at right tackle. I still think by midseason we start to see cohesion in that O-line. Becton and Vera-Tucker have been working out since before OTA, so they already have a chemistry being developed. Obviously, the competition between right tackle will develop and work its way out. But that O-line, I think, really hit the ground running probably before the rest of the team did. I'm just going to put that out there. Based on what I saw, I really think that the O-line really, Becton really trying to be the leader of that group. I don't think it's going to take very long, but I'll give them to midseason to work out any kinks, especially with a new playbook and things like that.
Fair enough. James, do you mind answering the question again?
Yeah.
You expect cohesion and ultimately like their best version of themselves?
Yeah. So I expect them to be respectable right out of the bat, right off the gate. I don't think they'll be bad to start and it goes from bad to good. I think it's going to be respectable because of the talent level that they do have at least 3 of the 5 positions. And I think Connor McGovern's kind of one of my little sleeper picks for bringing his level of play up from last year. But I think they'll be respectable right out of the gate due to scheme and the talent that they have. And then it's just gelling into being familiar with each other because that is a big piece, and consistency, right? And part of that's going to be them all staying healthy. I think last year they maybe had like 17 different offensive line combinations, and it's just not going to, you're never going to reach any kind of potential in that regard. So them staying healthy for a majority of the year, I think they hit, that ceiling. I don't want to say ceiling because a couple of them are still young in terms of Elijah Vera-Tucker, Connor McGovern's young, obviously Beckman's young. So I think they'll be good by midseason, and I think towards probably week 12 or 13 they end up really good where we think they can really take off from there.
Okay, cool. My answer is not really much different. I will just say that kind of like what you said, I think they're going to show a lot of flashes early in the season, specifically Elijah Vera-Tucker and Becton. We saw those flashes from Becton week 1, so there was no buildup. And I think it's going to be a very similar situation. And again, Garrett, that's why I left this comment up. If you guys heard Brian Baldinger, he said he called them the Smash Brothers on the left side. There's going to be some bodies moved on the left side, and it gets me real excited. So I think I'm the only person that uses these immature sound effects, but I just think so yeah, I feel like that's the thing that I would just hang my hat on. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'll say that they're going to show flashes of dominance early. And I think that Morgan Moses will show on the right side his run blocking dominance very early as well. Okay. Mike, your comment stirred up a memory from Vervain. He says, I really thought that Brett Ratliff was our Tony Romo. That was the quarterback we traded for in the Sanchez, right? Sanchez? Or was that a transaction?
He went in after Gino, didn't he?
We traded him away in that move, I think. I can't remember. I thought he was involved.
But he's right though. There were a lot of. Do you remember? I don't want to put ESPN out there, but there were legitimate sports coverage where they were saying Brett Ratliff was this like sleeper Tom Brady-esque type of pick that no one gave the credit to. He's right though. There was a lot of people in that camp.
Brett Ratliff's problem was that his last name was Ratliff. There's never going to be a great quarterback last name Ratliff. Brandon says Elijah Moore is a bona fide stud, top 10 wide receiver in the NFL in the making.
And I would like to know from chat if anyone believed that same level of passion for Woodhead. Because there were some crazy fans for Woodhead back then.
About Danny Woodhead?
Yeah, of course. I'm talking about Danny Woodhead. Is there another?
No, there's not another Danny Woodhead. That's true. Yep. No, he was supposed to be our Wayne Chrebet, and they did not keep him. They also didn't keep Victor Cruz, too. They let him go in the preseason, I think, or something like that. They had Victor Cruz on the roster at one point, and they let him go, I'm pretty sure.
Not when Giants had him first, though.
They got him after we let him go. I'm pretty sure of that. I could look that
up. I didn't hear that. That would be crazy.
He suited up for the Jets. He never suited up for them, but
when he played us, do you remember that preseason? His rookie preseason? Where he one-handed catch 3 times on us? Yeah. Same game?
Yep. All right. Let's see. I'm just trying to catch up to this damn chat. Y'all are fast as hell. Let's see. Frankie says, if Carolina blows, Rule and Brady are out of there. I don't know if they'll fire those guys, actually. I will disagree with you, Frankie. You are in our chats a lot, so hopefully you don't take it personal. I think those guys are there at minimum this year, next year, and maybe even the year after that. There's a lot of people that want Joe Brady as a head coach. He was a very hot candidate this past year. He's one of the up-and-coming guys in the NFL. And Rule, I think maybe, he's going to be a little bit on hot ice on hot seat because he will have had 2 losing seasons in a row, but I don't think they're not going anywhere if they're bad this year, in my opinion. Just saying. All right, let's see. Man, crazy. All right. Yeah, they're all talking about Woodhead.
I'm sorry. That's my fault.
It's a blast to the past. Thomas says Sam Darnold, the coach killer. Oh, Sammy. All right, let's move on. We have done a lot of mailbagging. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That took about 45 minutes of the show. And again, I'm dedicated to having you guys as a part of the show. So I hope you understand that. And that's not going to change. The Wednesday podcast will have you guys on the show in some way or another. All right, let's get rid of the topic. Let's put up the new topic, which is Denzel Mims, a check-in. We're going to the doctor. And we're the doctors, which is kind of scary to think about. We're just doing a check-in. There's been a ton of people on Twitter, on all social media platforms, and they are concerned because he's getting reps with the third team. I'm not going to give all of the goodies out. I want to see if these guys can get some of the goodies out, but I'm not concerned about where Denzel Mims is right now. There's a multitude of reasons, but I'm going to check in with you guys, and I'll check in with the chat. If you guys could do me a favor, let me know what you guys think. If you want to just put in like a, check in as far as like, if you still feel good about Denzel Mims, put a plus sign in the chat. If you're starting to get nervous, put a minus in the chat, and I can kind of see. That's a Grey Root. I'll tip my cap to you. He gave me that idea. He said do a little poll in the chat. So I will use that right now. So plus sign if you feel good about where Denzel Mims is right now, or you can just write, a comment, and then a minus if you're kind of worried about where he's at. James, you're up. Where are you at with Denzel?
So I've been pretty vocal about my thoughts on Denzel Mims really since OTAs. And so now we're 7th practice of training camp. And I'm still not worried. And whether or not I should be, I don't know, but I'm not. And the reason being, yes, he's getting third team reps, sometimes second team reps. I know he's gotten, maybe today it was a couple first team reps. But he did miss OTAs. That puts him behind. And there are some veterans ahead of him. You have Corey Davis, you got Jamison Crowder, you have Keelan Cole, guys who have a little bit more experience, and they may just be gelling in the offense just a little bit better, right? I don't think that's a reason to be concerned as to how Denzel Mims can perform on the field. We'll see him in preseason games. And also a lot of things happen throughout the course of the year. He's going to be on the field at some point in time. Wide receiver ones, wide receiver twos, they don't play 100% of the snaps. And there'll be different situations on the field that he can absolutely contribute in, whether that's the red zone, whether that's third down. He's going to find his niche in this offense, and I think he's going to be fine. The only thing to Denzel Mims, like if you were talking to Denzel Mims, it's, listen, the best way to get up there is to outperform. I mean, to outperform everybody in front of you. That's the way to get moved up, and I think he has the ability to do it. I'm in no way ever going to doubt his athletic ability, but I think in the end he's going to have to outperform some guys. But in the same breath, he's going to get more chances as time goes on here. We're only 7 practices in. It's a brand new offense. Injuries could potentially happen. And also, once the games happen, the preseason games, they matter, especially for a guy in Denzel Mims' spot. All these young guys, that game matters. When the lights are turned on, all these training camp practices, there's a lot of scripting to these practices as well. And once those bright lights get put on, you have to perform, and I think he will, and I think he'll be fine, and it'll be a thing of the past that we were talking about Denzel Mims, kind of the way that we were.
So this could be breaking news because I don't know. I haven't seen this. Gumball is saying that Keelan Cole, I believe is who he's talking about, is out with COVID. I have not heard that. Need somebody in the chat to verify that. Mike, somebody wants to know what you're drinking. Isaac, he wants to know what's your drink. I just want to know what Mike's drinking. We can't see it. It's all fuzzy. Oh, Miller Lite.
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
The gentleman's drink. All right, cool. Mike, take on
That's
Denzel.
dreams are made of.
Plus or minus, where are you at on Denzel?
This is a tough one for me because I do think Mims is talented. I do think he has the high ceiling that we talked about all preseason, and I think he gets there. But I would say where we are right now, there's no way you could say that it's a plus. And to me, he's if it was a plus, he'd be with the first team. Now, James brought out some great points. There's a lot of different factors that play out to why he's getting third team reps. Fit, play scheme, physicality. I mean, I think we all agree we are going to run the ball a lot, and Corey Davis's run block ability, and perhaps some of the others maybe is taking more of the spotlight from Mims. Although Mims is a very he's got the body type where he should be able to perform in that setting. But let's just say there's him getting 13 reps. There's no way you could say that this is all part of the plan. So there is something going on there. I think, and I don't want to regurgitate everything that James just put out there, but I do think it's something to keep a note on, especially with the fact that the latest I've read is there are a lot of teams seeing this as a potential steal from the Jets. I think the Saints have come up in that conversation. I want to say another team that I can't think of right now are looking for wide receiver talent, and the Jets, depending on where Joe D is and Robert is, they got a guy getting 13 reps, and they get a good offer that comes around. Who's to say what can work out in that setting? So I love Mims, and it would stink to see his time here with the Jets kind of go down this path. Now, I do think he can work himself out, and I do think he's going to be able to rise above some of this other talent. But if you were to ask me, is this a good thing, a good sign for where we're at? I would say it's a negative. I'd say it's a minus.
Look at this hottie in the chat. My girl, she said, I'm gonna be watching Mims catching balls week 2 because we'll be there. This has been my favorite hot take of the off season, and this has so many layers for me. Mike, by the way, and James, both very good, cases made there for Mims. Here's the thing. Mims, if Mims, let's just go ahead and let's just say he's on the third team, he's on the second team, he's on the first team. He's gotten reps all over the place. If they really did, if let's just say they were a little bit down on him and they felt like he needs more, practice time, he needs more work in the classroom, he needs to work on his route running, why is that a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing to have a young, obviously talented wide receiver on the roster that needs some sharpening? It's like if you have the greatest materials to build an awesome weapon or whatever, a gun, a sword, would you just scrap the material because you don't I don't know. I'm trying to come up with an analogy here, but why are we down on the fact if he really is in need of some more development, why is that a bad thing? How is that possibly a bad thing when you have a guy who's certainly talented enough to be on a roster? If he ends up being our 4th or 5th wide receiver on the team, who gives a shit? That's why you keep Crowder on the team. That's why you draft Elijah Moore in the 2nd round. That's why you sign a Corey Davis in free agency. So to me, it's not necessarily oh, calm down, everybody. He's so talented. He's going to have 800 yards this season. Chill the F out. It's not about that. It's about the fact that I believe in the coaching staff and I believe in the system that they're going to use. I find it absolutely ridiculous to say that he's not a scheme fit. I find that to be hogwash to the highest degree. he is a good blocker on the outside. It's one of the pluses that he had coming out of college. And so he's a scheme fit. And if he's even if you can't move him all over the formation, even if you can't put him in the slot, that doesn't mean that he can't fill a role on the team. And that's what gets me so hyped up about this conversation. That's why I like talking about it. I just don't see how this is a bad thing, even if he were in need of development. So, Mike, tell me, because I know you want to talk.
It's not a bad thing. I took the question as plus or minus, is this a good sign for where Mims is? And in that context, I said minus. However, it's not a bad thing for a coaching staff to keep feeding reps to a player who, going back to my main point, is being looked at as needing development, right? So I think where you're hitting on is, were the expectations of where Mims was, were they accurate coming into camp? And in my case, I would say perhaps my expectations of where he was after last season was too high. And he actually has been identified to need some additional reps and additional development. And every player needs development. I think even Tom Brady looks for ways to develop himself. So I'm not saying any player comes in and says, oh, I just need to run a few reps with first team and I'm ready for the season. But I think the expectations was that Mims was so far learned so much from last season and was more talented and more of a, more comfortable with the team than what we're seeing right now. That's why I have it as a kind. It's not bad for the coaching staff and for him to want more and more reps. There's only so much reps with the first team, so you have to go to the second or third team. I just think it comes down to, were our expectations where we thought Mims was it accurate before camp started? And I think in my case, I had him too high.
I'm not yelling at you. I'm just frustrated by the fact that people seem to think that he should just have this whole NFL thing figured out. And a lot of receivers in the current NFL and in the old NFL, it takes time for receivers. Sometimes they don't really do much of anything until year 3. The Odell Beckhams of the world, the Justin Jeffersons of the world, the Randy Mosses of the world, they are far and few between that they come into the league and they just kick ass their rookie year. It's not common.
Well, the one thing, and then I'll let James go, but even if Mims works his way out, I just think that it just sucks for him, because a new quarterback trying to develop his connection with a receiver or multiple receivers, and Mims getting stuck with more reps on the second and third team, that's a sucky situation, because we thought you can go back and look at the streams. I had Mims up there competing with Corey Davis. So it's not like I'm not a Mims fan. And it just sucks to know that Wilson will be developing connections and rhythm with other receivers more than he will with Mims. I think that's the suckiest part for me. So I'm feeling it as much as I'm talking about it.
I hear you. All right. Any follow-up to my passionate speech there, James?
Yeah, no, I feel like it's early for me, not really just in this offseason, but just his career altogether. And just because, to kind of Mike's point too, just because he showed flashes last year doesn't automatically, bump him up into the, the first team or the second team. You still have to earn, especially with a new coaching staff, you still have to earn it. And for me, it's just like we saw those flashes last year, those big plays, the catch radius, the speed, the size. And so it's just, when is it going to, get to a point where, he's going to massively contribute? Because I think he will get there eventually. I think we just need to, hang along for the ride, let him develop. And he'll be a contributor, for this team. And you're right. I mean, the Julio Joneses of the world that get drafted and day one they're one of the best receivers in the league. It doesn't happen often. And we just kind of have to let the process play out. And I think Denzel Mims will be fine in the long run.
Yep. And ultimately he will. I still feel confident no matter where they feel or where he's at right now. I think he fills a role. I think he'll have his opportunities to go up and get the ball. I mean, we saw he can do that last year. Even if that's his main role, is to just be a guy that can do it in the red zone and maybe just, again, some of those back shoulder throws. Again, I still think that he can do that in this offense.
Yeah.
And to run, like to help on the run blocking on the outside. I think that's something he can do. So I don't know, man. I just feel like it's too freaking early and we just need to settle down. Grant Root throws in a comment. He says, Mims has trouble getting off the line versus press. He currently is not a good fit in the Jets system. We don't disagree often, Grant. Still feel like, what scheme are you, like if the NFL, excuse me, if the Jets scheme is to have, these receivers that are great route runners, able to get off their releases quickly, that's definitely a thing. But what offensive scheme out there doesn't need a big-bodied wide receiver like Mims? There really isn't. I feel, again, that's kind of why I don't worry about Mims, is because he can fill a role on the team. Maybe not necessarily as the go-to. I do hear what you're saying, though, Grant. You're saying that he's not an ideal fit for what they are looking for. More of that, it's more of that Elijah Moore role, and the versatility that he brings. So I'm not gonna pound you too hard for that. Let's see, just trying to make sure we're good here. Yeah, and I don't want to make excuses for Mims, but you're right. Not a whole lot of an off season. Not only was it the pandemic, he was also injured, kind of like an Ashton Davis situation there. And this is a great comment. Vervain, applause to you, sir. Great comment. Devontae Parker took a long freaking time to get going in his NFL career. He was a early, I think mid-first round draft pick. And he's come on. He's playing pretty good football right now. And again, if Mims reaches that, again, 800-yard range, that's a solid second-round pick. There's nothing wrong with that. He might not hit that this year, and that's okay. Great comments. People are bashing Herndon right now in the chat. There's actually some respectable Jets channels and podcasts that believe in him this year to have a big bounce back. Joe Caporoso of the Badlands, he is calling it the Herndon Hive. He's saying people that support Chris Herndon. Let's see. And I also had that same take. Making Mims earn it. Don't give out handouts to these players, especially these young kids. Make them earn everything they get. Elijah Moore, as good as he's been in camp, I think he just took his first team reps either yesterday or today. Make them earn it. Elijah Moore earned it, clearly. He earned it clearly. And he's going to continue to keep earning it because he just keeps making enormous plays in practice. Make these players earn their playing time. Make them earn their first team reps, their second team reps. No more handouts. Make the guys that you draft earn their positions on the team. And that part gets me super fired up. It's a very, not old school approach because it's the right approach, but it's just something that we haven't had in a long time, I feel like. So, all right. We have checked in with Denzel Mims. It is definitely mixed reviews from everybody. Don't give up on him. That's all. Too early. All right. So everybody in Jets fan land is hyped up about Elijah Moore. And I'm going to use this sound effect because I just love it so much.
Goddamn right.
Elijah Moore, everybody is freaking out about him. And it seems like it's deservedly so. And it's not just the videos that we're seeing. It's the reports that you read. He is making big plays down the field. He is creating massive separation from wide receivers. And even when he doesn't create separation, I know Bryce Hall was blanketing him on a lot of these plays that he made. He still is catching balls that he's not creating separation. So we don't have to stay on this topic forever because I feel like we can just, go goo goo gaga over him all night long. But he is definitely earned to being the talk of the town. Mike, what are your thoughts with Elijah Moore right now. I believe he can be a star. I know that's common, take right now from most people, but I believe he can be a full-blown star. You and I, Mike, talked a long, long time about who was our next quarterback going to build a chemistry with. And we talked about that a lot. We talked about that a lot. And you talked about that a lot, how we wanted to wait and see who he would do that with. It seems pretty clear he is favoring him. He is connecting with him. They are on point. Their timing seems good. It's obviously going to need to get better. What are your thoughts, Mike?
It's like a dream scenario. I mean, it's what. I mean, I say that because it's important for Zach to develop connections with multiple receivers, not just Elijah Moore, but the child in me, the little kid, the little Jets fan, is like ecstatic that the connection and the chemistry is working out the way it is. I mean, Elijah Moore is just what his physical dimensions can do and bring to the team. It's just on paper. What we were looking at the college tape and seeing what he did there. I'll just speak for myself because I like to put words in other people's mouths, which is, I was just like, man, if we even get half of that or 3/4 of that, that would be amazing to have a playmaker like that on our offense. An offense that's been one of the most boring offenses to watch over the last 2 years. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. What a refreshing new day that would be, to have Elijah paired with Zach and to know that chemistry is now left the station, so to speak. I think is it's one of the most exciting, adrenaline pumping things for me going into the season. I'm excited to see what the O-line does with Vera-Tucker alongside Becton. Yeah, I'm excited to see what Carl Lawson lights up on the field with Quinn Williams. Yeah, I'm excited to see what our ragtag D-backs do, all of them coming out of high school, basically. There's a lot of things I'm excited about on this team, but I would say the Zach Wilson Elijah Moore combo is up there. And then when the question was asked, can they be up there with Namath and Maynard? Like I want to go full on hype beast, just give you my just honest raw opinion and excitement on it. Although I do reserve that for the regular season, I think I do let myself indulge in what I'm seeing on the training camp side. And it's not perfect. And there's quotes out there where Zach's underthrew Elijah, or Elijah hasn't made the play, and they comment on it, and it's just like the way they answer the question is just like, yeah, you know what, we're not perfect, but we're getting better. And there's a good one out there. I was trying to find it before the stream started, of something where Zach underthrew Moore, and Zach basically said, "It's all right, man. Let's get it again. Let's run it again." And I just think it's awesome. That's the best way I can say. I could keep talking about it, but yeah, I love it.
Before I kick it to James, there was a comment from Cole in a press conference, and he was talking about Zach. He's like trying to perfect things that Cole, wasn't necessarily thinking they needed to correct. It was like very small, detail-oriented things, and again, that's the kind of stuff that you want to hear. James, thoughts on the duo? Thoughts on how excited you are about it? Any of that stuff? I'm pretty fired up about it, and so what do you think?
Yeah, so Elijah Moore is a superstar in the making. I think it's really kind of the only way to put it. Like when you think about, Odell Beckham Jr. writing a comment on Instagram that Elijah Moore knows more things, right, wide receiver wise, probably technique wise, than Odell knew when Odell was his age. We saw that comment from Odell. Obviously, that means a lot. I don't think he would lie about that. But then the second piece is you think about that comment, and then you go back to draft day when A.J. Brown is in the same room as Elijah Moore. And A.J. Brown is more emotional than Elijah Moore is, because A.J. Brown's essentially like almost thanking him for teaching him things that he didn't know. And we know the kind of player that A.J. Brown is.
Yes.
And so I think we have a very, very special talent that just so happened to slip to us at 34. And it's surprising. I think one day we're going to kind of look back and it's going to be one of those graphics of the wide receivers taken in the 2021 draft. And it's going to be, how did Elijah Moore go where he went? And it's a multitude of things. You're right. It's the separation. I think that's the difference in the rookie class, being able to create that separation. We've seen him be able to do it, at least in training camp. And the route running, the hands in traffic, I think he's going to get a ton of opportunities. He is creating that chemistry with Zach. And so when things go wrong for Zach, we know he has that ability to get out of the pocket. And I think Elijah Moore is going to be one of those where he's going to understand what he needs to do for his quarterback when crap goes wrong, when the shit hits the fan, because it happens more often. Not everything's just going to be timing. They'll get all that stuff down. They'll do the short routes. Elijah Moore will get the ball downfield. But there's going to be that added ability that Zach Wilson has to his game of being able to throw off platform, being able to throw on the run, being able to throw when, things aren't perfect around his feet. That's super important. And I think Elijah Moore is going to be one of those guys where he's not only a superstar, but he's at the same time like a safety blanket where Zach knows he can go there when he's in trouble. And so I think he's going to hit it right off the bat. And I think in 2022, we're kind of talking about Elijah Moore like we're talking about a Justin Jefferson right now. Can that second-year guy, or really even CeeDee Lamb. I know CeeDee Lamb kind of his rookie year got a little messed up with the Dak injury. But, you look at him now across Instagram, Twitter. He's everywhere making play. He looks like the CeeDee Lamb that was at Oklahoma. And I think we're going to see a lot of that too. So I think Elijah Moore is going to be that guy going into the second year where it's like, all right, we think he can hit superstar status this early in his career. I'm pumped about it because we've had, guys, how many wide receivers have we been through drafting? Not even drafting, but just even trying to get guys on how many games have we watched where it's like, all right, who is this guy? Where did he even come from?
Right.
And finally, I think, and I never thought I'd probably be around for it, as sad as that sounds. I didn't think I'd be around to where, a Jets wide receiver is considered one of the best wide receivers in the game. And I think 2 years from now, we'll probably get there with Elijah Moore.
Yep. And a lot of this is going to be predicated on just the chemistry that they will continue to build. I think that the best quarterback to wide receiver duos, they work at it relentlessly and they form just incredible chemistry. They know exactly what the other guy is going to do, how they're going to react. And so it's just going to continue to get better and better. I was going to say something and I forget now. It's just so exciting though. And it's one of those things where if you really sit down and you think about it, when was the last time the Jets drafted a wide receiver, a tight end, even a running back? I'm talking about skill position players on offense right now that really was special and could be considered, a real weapon. And I can't really think of anybody other than Santana Moss. He's the name that comes to mind. And
Keyshawn Johnson.
Yeah, Keyshawn.
Keyshawn.
Yep,
Yeah.
you can throw him in the conversation. It's just been so damn long.
Yeah.
Gonna pump the brakes only a little bit because we have not seen him in a game, but everything seems to be very, very positive. I would love to have Joe Caporoso on my show. He's a big time guy. I will go to him maybe later. I'm still, you guys know I've invited many, many people onto the channel. And that's still going to be something that I will look to do. I'm actually going to be on Green Bean's podcast on the 19th, I think. So I'll be back on with him. I would love to have him come on one time. I think people in, for the most part, the Jets content creator realm, most people are willing to work with one another.
Oh, yeah.
I have not reached out to, I have not reached out to Matt O'Leary. I would like to get him eventually. I'm not going to go to him right now. These guys are, they're busy. They have a lot of people going at them. And I don't really want to be one of those people until I feel like I have, earned my stripes, if that makes any sense. So anyway, It'll be a thing. Just gotta wait. This comment had me laughing. Isaac Wright. I think Herndon should get back on the roids. Frankie said, I read on Reddit, Herndon had 3 more drops today. Thomas Hewitt, you probably remember me talking about Hayden Hurst earlier in the offseason. They're not going to make a move for him, but that was the trade that I would have loved to have seen if we were going to make a move. I like Hayden Hurst in this offense. I like him as a player. He's still fairly young, but they're not going to move for him. It's just not going to happen. The Jets are going to pretty much play with what they have. We saw them sign Josh Johnson. I think it was this morning or something like that, or yesterday.
Yeah.
So we're going to see moves like that off and on, but I don't think anything's going to happen in the trade department. And, but yeah, I don't think he's available, and I don't think the Jets will be interested. Eagle Fang says Croft is going to win that job. Let's see. Yep, and Jeremy agrees. Croft is going to win the job. Jeremy Chrebet, he says Mims in 2022 and 2023. I think that is fair, and that will, by that point, he will need to start proving himself, and he needs to prove himself this year too. He needs to show that he's able to replicate some of the things that we saw his rookie year, for sure. Thomas Hewitt, Elijah, Tyreek Hill, Moore. Yeah, he's not, and that's the thing.
I don't think he's that fast.
Yeah, well, so my dad and my brother and I were texting last night, and my dad said, "Is he as fast as him?" And of course he's not, but he is built like him, and I think that he can do a lot of the things that Tyreek Hill does. And I said it in the text. I don't think he needs to be as fast as Tyreek Hill. It's so rare. He doesn't need to be as fast as Tyreek Hill to be super special.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson's not as fast as him. Odell Beckham wasn't as fast. There's a number of receivers that don't have don't have 4.2 speed, but are still very, very good players. Well, I will touch on this, and then we'll move on to our next topic. Moore will be on the field all game in multiple roles. I am actually going to go ahead and say that he plays no more than 60% of the offensive snaps this season. And the reason for that is not because I'm not a believer in him. If you look at the stats, and James, you mentioned it, if you look at the offensive snaps played for elite wide receivers in the NFL, they don't typically get, into that 90% is like extremely rare territory for a wide receiver. I looked it up. Devontae Adams, his highest percentage of snaps played in his entire career was 89%. And I don't even think he's hit 80% in any other season. So I know you're not saying that, Jeremy. I know you're not saying he's going to play every snap. Of course, that's not what you're saying. But I think that that's one of the misconceptions by fans, is that he's going to be out there, 90% of the snaps. I don't think that is going to be, that's not going to be a thing that we see, in my opinion. All right. Boring offense. Yeah. Mike, you got somebody agreeing with you about the boring offense. Yep.
True. Oh my gosh.
Yep. Let's see. Top 20 from a rookie QB. Boring was being polite. It's been non-existent offense since November of 2015. He's referring to the Fitzpatrick, Decker, Matt Forte, Brandon Marshall. Yep, for sure. Let's see. Vinny Bad. I'm sorry. He says, sidebar, how is Brady ranked higher than Aaron Rodgers and Madden? 48 touchdowns and only 5 picks. Shaking my head. I'm a big Madden player. I love Madden. I saw that as well, and I didn't pay close attention to that. I didn't specifically look for who were the top 3 or 5 quarterbacks ranked. And then when I found out that they had ranked Brady ahead of him, I can't believe that. And I know that's going to upset Mike, but Aaron Rodgers should absolutely be rated higher in Madden than Tom Brady. I think that's ridiculous. Yeah, Vern, I wanted Tony. All right. Leave me alone.
What did you say about me? You said
I said that you would be upset because I thought Brady shouldn't have been rated higher in Madden than Aaron Rodgers, and it's not the case. Yeah, I did. I still stand by it. I know a lot of Jets fans will make fun of the Giants for the Kadarius Toney pick because they passed on Elijah Moore. I still think that pick could work out for the Giants. I liked Kadarius Toney. I'm not going to back off on that take right now. He does seem to have a little bit of odd behavior on his social media, but he's super talented, crazy elusive. But yes, I did want Toney. So I will always admit when I'm wrong. It's never going to be the case. I believe it's Ed. I'm going to just call you Ed. He says, can we see the Jets possible go 5 wide or no shotgun? I think that's what he means. I think that they will use 5 wide very rarely. I think that the system that they're going to use is going to be more so 3 wide. And then they're going to use, the full back and the single back formations a lot. I think that we will see some 2 tight end sets, which is something that we have not seen a lot of. Gase didn't use it hardly ever. I would like to see 2 tight ends on the field, even though it is a weaker position group on the team. I would like to see us run those types of formations because we're going to run the ball. And spreading them out every once in a while is A-okay, but I don't want to see 5 wide too much. And they definitely will run no shotgun. There's going to be some snaps where Zach will have his hand under the center's butt. That's definitely going to be a thing. Because you can do play action in shotgun, but I think that's how you build a strong play action game is under center, using the outside the outside zone run scheme. And then off of that, you build off of that and you use your play action, you use your boots. You can do all kinds of things out of that wide zone running scheme. Yeah. Peyton Manning used to do it with Edgerrin James, and they used to run the stretches, the outside stretch zone. All right. I got to stop reading the chat for just a minute because we've got to keep going with our topics here. So goodbye to Elijah Moore. Hello to Zach Wilson. We can go a little faster on this one. Just general thoughts on Zach Wilson's performance. It seems to be good most days, and then there's been a couple of days where he's been a little bit less than stellar. Mike, any thoughts on Zach, just overall, his development, what you have thought of training camps so far? Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know if you could say less than stuff. I mean, I know what you mean because I know, but I just want to know for chat, like, he's a rookie, so he's having rookie days. I mean, follow Trevor Lawrence coverage, follow Mac Jones, they all are going to have these ups and downs. I think the biggest thing that he has the intangibles and he has the mindset, which is he does have the quick release that we saw in the college King tape. That wasn't a facade. He has the quick release. He does roll out and he does extend the play. He does try to make plays from weird arm angles. Like, these are things that, we saw in college. How's that going to translate to a pro setting? And he does showcase that. I think that whether he has, 90% completions or whether he has 20% completions on a particular day, to me, it's a fact that what we saw in the game tapes is actually what he's bringing to the table. And the rest of it is just practice and working out and him getting comfortable with where he is, with the playbook. To me, a good day or a bad day doesn't diminish where I think his progression, his trajectory is. And I think that's the most important thing.
Cool. Fair take. James, any overall thoughts on what you've been reading? And by the way, maybe we'll set that up for next training camp. We should all go.
Yeah.
Get some beers after practice. That would be a great time. What are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, it's about what I expected. Ups and downs that it's going to happen. I mean, you're talking about probably the hardest position to play in all sports. He turned 22 years old a couple of days ago, missed 2 practices with his contract situation. So it's about, it's probably about what I expected. Things are going to happen. I mean, the good thing is, you see the arm talent, the arm release, the quick release, the off platform stuff. And, probably the biggest thing is right now he's gaining his teammates' respect every time the guys are on, the media platform, saying good things about Zach. And, for Zach, really the biggest stuff, obviously the on-field stuff is difficult because you haven't seen that live fire in quite some time, and there is zero way to simulate it any other way. It just doesn't happen unless you're actually playing. But, right now for Zach, he's got the talent. So the biggest thing for him is the stuff that we don't see. It's the stuff that the beat writers don't write about or they don't get to see. And that's when Zach has a bad day or Zach has a good day. What's the film like with Mike LaFleur? What are they going through to correct things? What's the install? Everything happens at a different pace in training camp in terms of, okay, well, he did X, Y, and Z this day. What plays were they putting in? How'd they go over it before practice? How'd they go over it after practice? And so it's probably about what I expected. And I'm pretty excited to see him in the preseason games because that's when it's going to all come together.
And we're so close. We're so close. And I will let you guys know, just as a quick little commercial, I have the Sunday post-game show is going to be a thing from preseason game 1 all the way through the NFL season. And I'm pretty sure, except for the Colts Thursday night game, I'm going to keep all of the streams for the post-game on Sunday. So the preseason game is on Saturday night. Chad and I will get on, and maybe Mike, I'm not sure if he'll get the preseason games or not. We are going to start talking about the actual effing games, which is so exciting. It'll be the first time in this channel's existence that we will actually, which is crazy to think.
True. It's crazy.
How bananas. 7 months of channel content creation and 0 football has been played. So we're really, really, really excited about that. So we hope to see you guys in the chat. Hopefully it's not Jets therapy. It's more of a celebration. But those streams are going to be a thing, and I'm very, very excited about that. That's probably going to be one of my favorite things to do on the channel, is to talk about the games after they've happened. And again, James is going to be a part of the channel during the season. He's going to be on all of the Wednesday broadcasts, except for the first couple. I believe you're getting married, so that's kind of a good reason. You get an excused absence. But we will break down, because I know you guys have, you've clamored about it. You like James's breakdowns, and we're going to specifically look at what happened. Like, if it's a loss, what went wrong? And James is going to give us, a couple of plays, a couple of segments in the game that were key and crucial that led to the loss. If it's a win, he's going to do the exact opposite. He's going to find things that went right for the Jets on that day, and it led to the win. And so, again, if you like that kind of stuff, if that's the kind of content that you guys watch during the week, I would love it if you guys stopped by and hung out with us on Wednesdays for that as well. I'm getting all choked up over here. I'm so excited about it. It's been a long time coming. All right. Isaac was talking about the Jets as the lowest overall team in Madden. They are the worst team according to the Madden people. Oh, it's crazy, but times are going to change. We're hoping. All right, let's move on. We have talked about Zachy Boy. Oh, the one thing I want to say about Zach before we move on. I know this sounds terrible and crazy. I'm interested to see him stand in the pocket and take his first big hit and deliver. And I know he can do that. I'm not saying he can't do that. He's proven that he can do that. He's shown that in college. I know he had less pressure than a lot of people in college football, but when he had those pressures, he did very well against them. I'm excited to see him do it, to stand tall, take a big time hit, and deliver the ball accurately. That's what I'm looking forward to watching during the season early on and during these preseason games, is seeing him reacting to the pressure. I think it's a big, big tell if he's able to react to that strongly. All right, moving right along here. We are on topic 5. We got just this one and the next one, and we are going to wrap this up. We're hitting on all of the hot button topics for training camp, and this has to be right there, I think, right alongside Elijah Moore. I think you can just, alternate whichever one tickles your pickle, whatever one gets you the most excited. This one to me is extremely exciting. It is a true reflection of the philosophy that this organization is building moving forward. Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, they're holding hands. They agree. The lines are what leads to success in the National Football League. You win at the line of scrimmage. Carl Lawson and Mekhi Becton have been absolutely going at it. And Becton was quoted as saying, "Iron sharpens iron," which is just a badass.
That's awesome.
Great quote.
That's an awesome quote.
Yeah, there have been lots of great quotes from these guys. So I'll go to, I don't know who I went to first, but I'll go to Mike. He's so excited. I'll go to him. What are your overall thoughts on this battle? How do you think it'll lead to the NFL season? Like, what are your expectations? I mean, you go any way you want. Just go with this.
I mean, in terms of who's going to generate more heat or contribute to the team more. I mean, I'll just go in different directions.
We're just talking about the battle between those two. Take it how you want.
I think it's great. I think what we're seeing is we got two champions on both sides of the ball. Now, that doesn't mean that they're the single leaders of those halves of the team, defense and offense, but when it comes to people who bring fire, who bring energy to the team, obviously Carl and Becton are leading that charge. And I think it sets the tone for not only the free agents and the veterans, but also for the rookies who are coming into this. And I think that's what – I mean, I think there used to be stories of the Bill Parcells days of the Giants and how those two halves of the teams would push each other to be better. And then they got to – they won a Super Bowl because of it. And I kind of see some of that happening here, which is great. I mean, that's exactly what you want to see. I think that at the end of the day, both of these players are going to be huge pieces of the puzzle to whether we have a better season, or in my opinion, at least get to a somewhat break-even season. Some of us in the chat have had us going to the playoffs, and I think that is if we still believe that, then these two players need to continue to bring that kind of energy and do what they do on the field. Carl Lawson's getting all kinds of coverage in camp. Becton, obviously, probably, I haven't seen as much coverage on him, but his presence speaks for itself. So I don't think that's a concern necessarily. I still have thoughts on his injury concern. I don't know. There hasn't been a lot of talk on that. I don't know, James or John, if you've heard anything different. I haven't seen anything about that.
James just wrapped it up, and he didn't use sign language. He's right. It's just this, man. We're just hoping.
Yeah.
We're just hoping.
Yeah, 100%. No, I think it's great what they have going on here, and I think that I wish I was at the practice too, because I would love to see them what they're like doing scrimmages, doing drills together. Obviously, are they doing? I know for the first part they weren't doing touch. It was no tackles, but I mean, just think of that. Just think of what they're saying to each other on the field. I just think that's great for the team. I think it's awesome.
Awesome. James, any thoughts on this battle? Because it's really just competition, man, at its purest form.
Yeah, no, it's great. I've been waiting for this, because you think about just them two individually. Mekhi Becton, we know he has all-pro potential as a left tackle. Carl Lawson, we know he has potential as an edge rusher to be one of those top guys. And Jeff Ulbrich said it kind of best. I think he said it, maybe it was today.
He did.
And that he's really excited for Carl Lawson to become a household name, because he really hasn't gotten that notoriety yet, because his sack numbers have been really low. And that kind of skews where people, have your perception on you. I mean, I've done it in the past when we had Leonard Williams and he had like 0 sacks or 0.5 sacks, I was like, all right, let's move on. Let's move on with this guy. And you kind of forget the other things that he can do pretty well for a football team. And he obviously showed that for the Giants last year. And obviously the sacks came, but also the quarterback pressures came and stuff like that. So I think Carl Lawson's finally going to get that year where the sack numbers they jump up, and then people are going to say, holy crap, well, how did we, not miss this guy, but how did we not think he could become this? And, Ulbrich said his win rate is almost historic in what he's been able to do. And for the competition level, I mean, this is what I've been waiting for. And I tried to make an analogy on Twitter the other day. And I understand the differences with the analogy, but and I think I might have even said it on this channel before, in terms of every time you hear an Alabama player talking about their experience at Alabama, they always go to practice. They always talk about practice. Obviously, they win championships and do the whole thing. But one of the biggest credits to that is practice is harder than the game, because they're going against somebody so talented that they're not going to see that every single week in college football. And so obviously the NFL is a different game, and the Jets are in Alabama, and they're not playing, Louisiana Monroe and things like that. But Mekhi Becton is going to get a whole heck of a lot better, because he's not going to be facing a guy like Carl Lawson every week. And when he does face that guy, he's going to understand that, hey, listen, I've seen this in practice before. I've felt it in practice before. I'm going to be ready for it. And Carl Lawson's not going to go against a whole lot of 6'7", 375-pound guys who can run a 5.0 or whatever Mekhi Becton ran, 4.9, whatever it was. And so they're both going to get a whole lot better. It's going to make Sundays way better for them finally. And we're seeing it across the board, right? I mean, Bryce Hall, not to get off topic, but very quickly, Bryce Hall, we see the catches that Elijah Moore makes on Bryce Hall, but Bryce Hall's right there against a guy who we think is going to be really special. And it's the same, a John Franklin Myers going up against the Morgan Moses every day. Like, those kind of competitions are just stuff that we have not seen in the past. We watch training camp year after year, and it's like, all right, well, that guy had a great day, but it's like, that other guy he's playing against, he may not even make the team. And now we got guys going against each other who have all pro and Pro Bowl potential in practice. And I think it's going to take some of these guys, over the limit in their potential. It's going to speed this process up a little bit.
So a couple of things. You're right. There are so many storylines this training camp. So many. And it's like a very, very rich time because there's so much to talk about. Grant Root, I think, was the one that made that joke earlier. There's just so many things to be talking about. Bryce Huff has also been able to go against Morgan Moses. So there is just competition everywhere. Real quick, Paul Boy Green Esden, he is going to be a dad. He announced that on Twitter. So congratulations to you, Paul. Parenthood is an absolute trip. It's a lot of work, but it is the best. So I wish you well. I wish your wife well, and good luck with everything. We do have a question from Grant to you, James.
Yep.
You're no longer James. You're Jaime. Question for James. He says, what do you think, barring injury, will be the determining factor in who wins Fant versus Moses for the starting right tackle?
Probably consistency, right? Consistency in practice in terms of just being able, obviously, I know injuries not a factor here being the question, but, one, obviously the run scheme, these guys are going to be moving horizontal in the scheme when we're talking about the outside run, right? When we talk about the wide zone scheme, I mean, it's probably, everyone says that if you're going to run the wide zone scheme, you have to marry it, but that doesn't mean we're going to see other run plays kind of mixed in the scheme as well. But I think you're talking about pass protection and obviously the run block. Who's the most consistent there? And I mean, I think Morgan Moses is going to win it, but determining factor to me is going to be consistency in run block and obviously pass block, which is what they're responsible for. So I know that's not really too much of an in-depth answer there, but consistency for me is who does their job more times, good more times than they do bad. And that's got to be it, because we need the protection for Zach. The front side is just as important as the back side. And I think that's where they'll wind up going, is who's most consistent throughout this camp process and preseason too.
Nice. There you go. Yeah, don't ever hesitate to put questions in the chat. And the way Grant did it was perfect. He said question art, which is helpful for me. I know it seems ridiculous, but there's just hundreds and hundreds of comments, guys. And if you just stick something like that at the beginning, it's very, very easy for me to identify them. So if you ever have a take or a question that you want, try to put something in the beginning to really catch my eye. Vervain, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yes, Green Bean, I will say, he is just an absolute Jets fanatic. He really does love this team. I mean, anybody that's doing this and spending their time doing this loves the team. But you can tell he has a true passion for this. He was streaming last night, I think, until like almost midnight after the Jets talk panel. So like he just streamed. I mean, he streamed for like 4 hours last night. So he cannot get enough. And you're absolutely right, Sir Robin. By the way, great name, by the way, Sir Robin. If he's a great presence. Awesome to talk to, awesome to listen to. I'm really, really excited to sit down and talk with him again. I want to see if I can get him upset about something. I don't know. I feel like he's too nice. I got to get under his skin somehow. Gumball with a good question. He says, is Clark's season over? I don't think so. We don't know, though. As far as I understand, it's a spinal contusion, which is the equivalent of a bruise. But obviously, because it's the spinal cord, it might need to not just 100% heal, like 150% heal. Like they need to know for sure that bruise is completely repaired. But I have no clue. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know. But I don't think his season's over. The dad seemed very confident that he'll be back 100%. So I think it's just a time thing. And they'll wait. They'll wait till they know he's 100% healed. Brosy says the foundation is being set. You are 100% right about that. Tommy R is talking about his bets, his Jets bets. Wow. Jets 1,000 to 1 to make the playoffs. That's not a bad bet.
No, it's not.
Put $1 down, you make $1,000, right? Like, I mean, you probably have to have like a minimum bet or whatever, but that can't be right. 1,000. I do not bet, clearly. 1,000 to 1. What is that, like $10 or something if you put $1 down? I don't know. He also said rookie of the year, 700 to 1. Optimistic Jets fan. Yeah, no, I'm not a big bettor. Sorry. Jeremy, I don't know. YouTube is in charge of that. They emailed me. They said, hey, you can monetize. I said, cool. And then they give you like a form to fill out. And I think I just have to wait for them. So
Cool.
super chats will be a thing, I guess. We'll see. Let's see. Grant says Saban's book talks. Oh, I'm sorry. Saban's book talks about the practice philosophy. He's stupid smart, playing psychological warfare against the young 19 to 22-year-old male brain. Highly recommend it. I mean, dude's a masterclass in the college level. He just absolutely knows what the hell he's doing. It's not just the recruiting that he kills. He knows exactly what buttons to push. I mean, I haven't read the book and I don't know Saban perfectly, but I can imagine that the book is awesome to read. Grant Root is the intellect that we need around this. I love it. I love that he read the book. That's great.
He's the man behind the curtain.
He really is. And he's also the Elijah Moore man for months before the draft. Months.
Yeah.
Full credit. All right. James, he said, thank you for answering his question.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Vern, that's an interesting question. He says, imagine if Morgan Moses loses after all the hype. I don't think he'll lose.
No.
I don't think.
Nah, I don't think either.
pretty confident that he'll get his shot to play. And if he stinks up the joint, then maybe you'd see a switch. But I'm pretty confident he's gonna play. All right, let's see. Jeremy, you're too kind, man. No need for that, but that's very, very kind of you. All right, last topic. And whoops, that is not that button. Do I know what I'm doing? I'm not doing a very good job. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay. We've talked a lot about some of the big names, who has been kicking ass in training camp. We're going to do a little bit of a blend here. Climbers and fallers, some people that maybe you were down on, prior to training camp that might be climbing the ladder a little bit. It doesn't have to be somebody that's become a starter or that you think will become a starter, just anybody that you think is, got the arrow pointing up, and then maybe the opposite, somebody that you think is falling a little bit, who may have been a starter or maybe it may have been a backup, and now you're questioning whether or not they'll make the team. I'm going to go first because I'm going to go quick. My faller, I think, is Ty Johnson. Just haven't heard anything. When the preseason comes, he might go out there and he might get a bunch of reps. But I'm not hearing a whole lot of him. I'm hearing more about Tevin Coleman and Michael Carter getting those reps with the first team. So to me, because I was so high on him, he's falling for me. And I'm a little bit worried about him. Maybe they opt to keep P. Ryan because they did draft him last year. And that's 3 running backs right away. Because I know they're keeping Tevin Coleman. I don't care what you say, Mike. He's going to make the roster. Michael Carter is no doubt making the roster. And again, P. Ryan could make the roster. They drafted him just this past season. So I think that puts Ty Johnson in the faller category. And then my climber, and again, this is, I'm not high on this guy, even after having climbed a little bit. But I'll give a little bit of credit to Blesson Austin. I know that he's gotten beat in some of these reps, but for the most part, I think he's doing okay. And I think that's good. We don't need him to be superhuman this season. I still think that eventually he's going to lose the starting job. I think he will win the number 2 cornerback job on this team. But I think that he's doing okay. And so he's a little bit of a climber for me. I don't think he'll keep the job going, later on in the season. But for me, he's doing a pretty good job in training camp. Mike, who's your climber? Who's your faller?
For climber for me, it's got to go. For me, a climber, it has to. Unfortunately, you're going to tear me apart. But I mean, strong reports coming out of Chris Herndon, and I just think that more than anything, we need a tight end to balance out the squad we have. I know that was the same trajectory that he had last season. He had a really strong offseason going into the final era of Adam Gase. Obviously, didn't do jack. A lot of us, myself included, was all about replacing him, drafting a tight end. You heard that this was before things developed. But we were all about Kyle Pitts and how that might happen. We trade up from whatever, or early second round, or maybe that late first round, or something like that. But obviously, that was all hogwash. But I was all about replacing Chris Herndon and getting a new tight end in there. But we have what we have. And again, latest reports, especially coming out last week and this week, is that he's off to a strong start, really making a presence. Apparently did a lot of work on himself in the offseason before OTAs and before camp started. So there's a lot of other players that are probably climbing faster, but because the tight end position, I think, is such a weak point for us, I have Chris Herndon in there. I know I'm not looking at chat. Chat's probably tearing me a new one, but I think it's a solid thing. I think even if you don't like a player, it's still good to see a player develop and want to bounce back from being garbage, which I kind of put Chris Herndon in for a period of time there. Are we doing fallers too, or just I'll turn it over to James?
I did both of mine. Go ahead.
For falling for me, I mean, I was going to say P. Ryan only for the fact I haven't heard anything, John. So I'm not trying to hop on your back on that one. But you know, I don't really have anyone who stands out to me on the falling squad. I mean, Mims popped up on my list doing research up for today's stream. P. Ryan, because I haven't heard anything. Tevin Coleman, just because I think Tevin Coleman has a very low ceiling. What a bozo.
Stop bashing Tevin Coleman. He's gonna probably start.
He's gonna need to turn it around for me. Because we paid. I know it was a 1-year deal, but look at the squad we have there. I mean, here's the thing: is he gonna steal touches from Michael Carter if Michael Carter really starts to turn on the burners? Now he's a rookie, so it's not like Michael Carter's gonna come into this league like Adrian Peterson and tear a new one. So he's gonna need a rotation. I get that. But I think I'd rather see Ty Johnson get those reps than I would Tevin Coleman. That's kind of how I feel. I mean,
with you,
Tevin Coleman's had his time. I don't know. So I don't really have one player that stands out as like, wow, he's really falling down my chart. I have a couple players I'm keeping an eye on. That'll probably change as we get closer to the regular season starting. But yeah, I'm mostly focusing on the climbers right now.
Okay, fair enough. James, a climber, a faller?
Yep. My climber is CJ Mosley. And I think he qualifies because he hasn't played football in like 2 years. And I think he was kind of one of those hot button topics throughout the offseason too. Like, what's he going to be? And obviously we still don't know. But I was always the mental aspect of CJ Mosley. We kind of saw what the Jets defense looked like, at least for that first half against Buffalo 2019 season. And man, did it look good. Obviously, he made an immediate impact when he was on the field. And a lot of that is because that middle linebacker is the quarterback of the defense. And when you lose that guy, it's kind of tough. So he comes into camp this year at 231 pounds, which is, I think he said he might not have been that light since his freshman year at Alabama. And probably what the reason being is, some athletic ability, a little bit more range. I know he's had a couple of plays in camp where he's gotten his hands on some football. And he's always going to be physical. I mean, that's never going to get away from his game. So I like the fact that he's come into camp kind of older now, missing 2 years, reshaped the body. The mental is going to be there. The physical aspect is always going to be there. And I think he's going to kind of help put this defense together. He's going to be the quarterback. And so I'm going to give him a climber because I think a lot of people thought maybe, there's a chance that he doesn't contribute like he once was able to. And while that still might be the case, I think he's trending in the right direction for sure.
The weight, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to say
go ahead.
The weight loss is, excuse me, super impressive.
Yeah.
That is not an easy thing to do as an NFL player. I know he's been out for 2 years, but 231, I think he's going to be running around like a banshee this season.
Yeah.
He's gonna look faster watching it with just the naked eye. It's gonna be like one of those things that kind of pops off the screen. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. Because I mean, the game is changing. Let's face the facts here. I mean, teams are throwing the ball all over the place. What are teams trying to do now? They're trying to figure out how to cover these guys who are playing wide receiver and tight end who shouldn't be able to run like they do. The Travis Kelce's of the world, now, the Kyle Pitts of the world. These guys are freak athletes. And, those old school linebackers, while, they were great probably, back in the day when it was ground and pound football, some of them probably wouldn't be able to cover these guys for a lick. And so dropping that weight allows you to be a little bit more rangy, a little bit, add a little bit more speed to the game and be able to cover these guys, when the opportunity arises. And he'll always be physical. You're not going to want to meet CJ Mosley in the hole. That's just going to be, the fact of the matter. And hopefully the front four is in the backfield anyway, and all he's doing is just cleaning something up. So CJ Mosley for me, he's my riser. I'm pretty excited about him. And so my faller, I didn't really have many fallers, only because I think we've only had 1 or 2 padded practices here. So it's kind of tough So I'm using this one as my opportunity for someone I thought I'd hear more about that I haven't heard really almost anything. And that's Kenny Yeboah, the tight end, the undrafted free agent. A lot of guys were excited for him. He signed his free agent contract. We watched the highlights that he had at Ole Miss, kind of in that wide open spread offense. And I think at this point there are probably some fans out there, while it hasn't gone really all over Twitter or social media or anything. I think maybe that's somebody that fans would have, and I could be wrong. Maybe it's just me that hasn't heard a lot about him. But with the tight end spot the way it is, it's kind of up for grabs. It's a spot where if someone really makes their mark, they're going to get their shot at starting in this offense. And so Kenny Yeboah, I think he's a great athlete. I would challenge him to maybe, hopefully, and maybe he's not getting the reps, but if he is, to make his mark, and let's start hearing about some Kenny Yeboah in training camp.
Yeah. And typically jobs are won in training camp practices, but I will say that the preseason is a great opportunity for players to make their mark. I remember I don't know if it was the Denver Broncos Super Bowl, I don't remember what it's called, like not a football life, but basically their Super Bowl run in '98. They did one specific segment about Terrell Davis in his training camp, and he was a 6th round pick, and he was definitely on the bubble, and he made one enormous tackle on special teams, and that was the play where it was like the coaching staff was like, holy shit, we got to pay attention to this guy. And it took one big play for the coaching staff to say to themselves, let's keep our eyes on this kid. And sometimes that's all it takes. And so I think it's fair to point out Yeboah because he hasn't made a lot of noise, but he could be one of those guys that comes into the preseason game, the lights come on, and he just gets in a zone. We have no idea what's going to happen, but he will definitely get playing time during the season, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see if he steps up, or anybody. Isaiah Dunn, what's he going to do with his opportunity?
Right.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, yeah, the special teams is a really good point, because we haven't talked about that, and probably the only time we've talked about special teams is either the kicker or when we signed Justin Hardy. And it's a major factor. It's a major factor of the game. It's one of those where you don't think about it until it loses you a game because someone did something they weren't supposed to. And so you're right. The Isaiah Dunns of the world, the Kenny Yeboah, even some of these later round picks that we think, right now are getting some reps, and even when Ashton Davis comes back, how are these guys going to contribute on special teams, because it can make you or break you in making the roster.
Exactly. Yep. And getting more opportunities, not just making the team, but also saying, hey, maybe this kid needs some run on defense or nickel package or whatever it may be. Like they want to see these guys, especially the young ones, contribute on special teams. And so we'll see. We got another question, Tommy R, and I'll kick to you, Mike. You can be the only one that answers this. Well, maybe I'll. Tommy R, he wants to know who's starting at right guard. Who do you think?
I think we already just. I think Morgan. I got Morgan starting at right tackle.
He'll be right tackle.
Oh, I'm sorry, right guard. I'm sorry, I didn't read the question right.
That's okay.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I think Frankie, he put it in the chat. Greg Van Roten, probably the favorite right now.
He's definitely the favorite, but who's he competing with? That's what I'm trying.
Cameron Clark was in the mix, I think.
Right.
And he can.
That's why I was.
He can still, he can be in the mix in this, this season. Alex Lewis.
Yeah. But Alex didn't have any notoriety coming into camp, did he? Of having any hope of getting to the starting spot. Yeah.
Not necessarily. We were hoping that he would, but it wasn't really likely.
Yeah. So it'll probably be Van Roten at that point. So I just couldn't remember who the competition was at right guard. So yeah, I totally agree.
So you could throw Tristan Hodge in the mix as well. I believe he's a guard, right? Is he a guard? Hodge?
If he's not, he's probably gonna be.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think so. He can technically get in the mix, I guess, but it looks like it's Greg Van Roten's job, guys. I don't think there's much. Grant throws in his climber. I appreciate that. I wish more people would do that. We need more people to throw in there because you're a part of the discussion. He says Keelan Cole, I don't think anyone expected him to be running with the first team. And he said Slider Feeney, Dan Feeney, the center. He went from smashing beer cans on his head straight down to no news abyss. Fair enough. We'll see. I think he's the backup, so maybe that's why we haven't heard a whole lot. But you're probably right. I think it's fair to throw him into the slider discussion for sure. Man, Vern. Mims is a damaged lil climber. He's adamant. He doesn't. I think maybe it was somebody else. Lindell's had said something like he's not showing a lot of fire. I don't know if that's fair to say. Mims is a pretty quiet guy, so he's not going to be like demonstrative on the field or anything like that. So we'll see. All right, let's keep it going here. Vervain, good job. Climber, John Franklin Myers, Faller, Mims. And Grant Rood says 21 pounds later, that is big weight in Baltimore. Yeah, so the dude shed a ton of weight. And that's not I'm not an NFL player, but I've cut weight. I was into weightlifting for a while. Cutting weight is difficult when you are a physical athlete. Like that's hard to do. Why don't they use Fant at right guard? Good question, Bennett. Thanks for throwing it in there. Well, there's a couple of things in my opinion. He hasn't played the position. And I think that when you're a veteran in the NFL, can offensive linemen, flip from a tackle to a guard? Yes. But I don't think that that's something in his wheelhouse personally. I think the more, like the one that I heard about the most that had maybe some legs was Moses playing at guard. I could possibly see him sliding into guard, but I don't think that that's a situation that we're going to see. I don't think Fant is going to be put at guard, and I don't think that Morgan Moses is going to be put at guard. It's my ideal scenario. They're just going to keep Fant as the sixth offensive lineman and as the backup tackle. And if Moses gets hurt, if Becton gets hurt, we don't need to do this effing reshuffling of the offensive line, and that's crucial. If Fant can just go into left tackle or right tackle at a given notice, and we don't need to flip around the entire line, I think that's crucial. So I think that's the reason why you don't put him at guard, because depth matters, and if you keep him at tackle, I think that's what he should do. So, whew. Vern, remember when Bart Scott lost all that weight and busted, though? I don't remember that. I don't remember Bart losing weight. Maybe near the end of his career. Maybe that's what he's talking about. But yeah, Bart was awesome.
He was.
Loved Bart.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
He was such a good player. I mean, not just the can't wait thing. He was a good, solid linebacker. Let's see. Jeremy says it's definitely Van Roten's job to lose. I don't know if Kenny Yeboah would stick on the practice squad, but Ed, that's a fair thing to throw in the chat. The guy that we've talked about a couple of times tonight, Green Bean, he actually thinks that he had said that he thinks he could win the starting job. I think that's a little bit far-fetched, and I'm gonna egg on him real hard when I go on his show on the 19th. I'm gonna see if I can bust his balls a little bit about that. I don't think that he'll stick as a practice squad player. He'd probably get stolen. Somebody would nab him. And that's what Frankie's kind of reiterating here, that he probably wouldn't pass through waivers. All right, let's see. Any questions in the chat? Are we going to get James to break down any preseason games? Unfortunately, probably not. I don't know. What do you think, James? You up for that?
Yeah, we could definitely work that out.
Okay.
For sure.
So
There we go.
our next Wednesday podcast won't happen, I think, until I don't have the calendar in front of me, but sorry, there's a comment I read. The next Wednesday stream, I think, is like the 18th or something. I think that's right. Because again, I'm going on vacation. I'm literally leaving again. I will still continue to do uploads, but there's not going to be a Wednesday stream until the 18th. But if James, if he's up for it, hell the fuck yeah! Like, let's do some breakdowns. Let's talk about some preseason football. That's absolutely in the cards. Vern, thanks for asking. He also said Mike drunk. I don't think he actually is.
I wish.
I don't think he is.
That would be amazing.
But it's still
That would
funny.
be-
I just love it. I just love the interaction. All right. Yeah, true. We shouldn't forget the preseason games. If Yeboah makes some big plays, you never know. Yeah, that's all it takes. Sometimes is just a couple of plays. It doesn't even have to be like, dominating an entire game. If he makes one big play that really stands out to the coaching staff, that could be enough. A lot of people are talking about win-loss records in the chat. I'm going to save that because we will do our final record predictions the Wednesday before the season begins. So that will definitely be a thing. And I don't want to talk about win-loss on the channel until we get to that point before the season kicks off. Yeah, Kevin, Mike was just talking about that. And I think that's kind of what he was mentioning, is that New Orleans could potentially be interested. I don't think Joe Douglas is going to do that. I don't see that happening. But if they overwhelm him, of course, maybe he would consider it. Joe Douglas will never, and no GM, no good GM will ever say, no, that guy's never available. If he gets overwhelmed with an offer, he would consider it, I'm sure. But it's probably not going to happen. The only one that I would think would be likely would be maybe Crowder, but I still am not in favor of that. Matt O'Leary had put out a video talking about how Mims, Crowder, it might be smart to trade him for a mid-round pick. To me, that's not where the value is. To me, the value is keeping him on the roster as depth for Zach Wilson specifically. And I have no qualms with anybody that disagrees with that, so it's no big deal. Backup O-line is important. Yes. Trade for MILFs anytime you can. I don't know what that means, but it's funny. Michelle, you're right. Moms keep the world afloat. Let's see. There's not a whole lot of stuff. There we go. Tommy R. When is the first wave of camp cuts? Because the preseason is different than it's ever been before, I don't know. But I would guess maybe after game 2. Do you know, James, when the first cuts are?
So I'm pretty sure this was a pretty recent change in the NFL structure. It used to be they kind of dwindled it down. After a couple preseason games, you cut X person, you cut X amount of people. I'm almost positive now that the roster goes from 90 to 53 right after the third preseason game. So it all happens at one time. So I don't think there's a first wave of cuts, a second wave of cuts. I'm almost positive it happens all at once.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. So there you go. It'll just be a literally an epic cut.
I think last year or the year before that was the first year they did it that way. Someone can fact check me, but I'm almost positive that's the way it is.
It's nice. That's the way it should be. That way they can fully assess them and then just move on.
Yep.
All right. Good question. There was a question about Hamza versus Jamian. How's that competition going? The only thing I've read is that Hamza is legitimately getting first team reps.
Yep.
And that means more for Hamza than, Mims getting some first team reps and playing third team reps. Like Hamza being on the first team defense, even just a little bit, I think is a clear sign that they are favoring him and that he's, I think, almost certainly going to have a role on this defense.
Yeah.
And I had heard from some fans that went there, they saw him line up as a linebacker and as a safety in certain packages. So they're truly going to use him as a Swiss Army knife. So that's great. I'm getting quizzed in the chat. Why is the sky blue? I believe it's the reflection of the water, right? Isn't that what it is? The sun is... It has something to do with the water, and I believe that. You tell me if I'm wrong, Jeremy. I don't know the true science behind it, but I know it has something to do with the water on our planet. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. I would love to know. Jeremy, Vern, come on, man. You're gonna make me do this? I gotta do it. I'm sorry. Let's do this, because if this is not a kick in the pants for me, I don't know what is. How the hell do I show my screen? Okay. Yeah. Oh, damn, James is gone. All right, we won't do it. All right, so go to my channel, and the banner has the stream schedule every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Although I do hear what you're saying now, because I'm not going to be here, is what he's saying. So I don't want to go off on a tangent. 1,000 subscribers was a big deal for a multitude of reasons, but one of the biggest is the community board, the community tab. I can now communicate with you guys and let you know when things like that are coming up. So Vern, I don't have it yet. But it will be. What are you doing over there, Mike? But it will be a thing. I will be able to communicate with you guys, and I will make sure that you guys know about, when streams are not happening, and you can always check the upcoming live streams as well. That's something that I've been working on as well. So, all right. Hey, Mike, how many running back? Grant Root wants to hear from you. How many running backs, wide receivers, tight ends are the Jets going to keep on the roster?
Ooh, they're definitely keeping 3. Let me look at these positions. Yeah, I think they're definitely keeping 3 running backs.
At least.
Yeah, wide receivers. That's a wild card. I was gonna say probably. Yeah, I'm trying to think. We got Perryman, Mims. I'm counting. I'm thinking of how many.
Roster. He's a Lion.
What?
You're thinking of Brashad Perriman. He's ancient history. He was on the roster last year.
There's another wide receiver besides in the 5th spot. I'm trying to remember who it is.
We got Vincent Smith, Braxton Berry.
Vincent Smith. I'm sorry. I don't know why I think Perry.
Just
I'm gonna say
put a number out there. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just throw a number out there. I'll just throw 5. I'll throw 5 out there. I'll throw 5.
Go ahead.
6.
That's what I think.
Tight ends 2. Yeah, that makes sense. You gotta have a primary and a backup. So those are Mike's Wednesday night guesses.
I'm gonna go with 3 tight ends.
All right.
But nothing too crazy there. All right. So there are still a lot of people in here. I don't see too many questions. Oh, we got a new guy, a new face, Rodrigo Costa. Probably related to the curvature of the Earth and the wavelength when it enters the atmosphere. I haven't seen. Jeremy says, I don't know, man. Come on. You quiz me, you don't know the answer? What the hell is this? What kind of shit is this? All right. Vern, Mike drunk, I told you. Oh, Jesus. All right. Thank you very much, Ed, on the 1,000. All right. So here's what's going to happen. This is a new thing. I'm going to excuse these 2 fine gentlemen. I'm going to bid them a good night. I will see you gentlemen on the 18th. We will break down the Jets versus Giants. It's Giants,
Yep.
right? That's weird that it's the first game. And we'll talk real effing football on this channel for once. I'm not going to end the stream right now, though, which is kind of weird. I will stay. There are 29 people. If you 2 want to stay, that's fine. I don't care. I'm going to, just let you go if you want. Salah said an 8-man rotation. Who doesn't make it? I think you're talking about the defensive line, maybe? 8-man?
Yeah, probably.
I'm not sure. He said D-line, yeah. Who doesn't make it? That's a good question. We'll do this last question, and then I'll kick these sorry suckers out. Who doesn't make it on the D-line? What do you think, James?
Well, so we got Carl Lawson, Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins, Foley Fadukasi, Nathan Shepard, John Franklin Myers, Bryce Huff,
Vinny Curry.
Vinny Curry.
Good job. Nice. That's 8.
That's 8. Who else do we
Zuniga.
got?
Zuniga.
Oh, Zuniga. Okay. Oh wow.
Bryce Huff.
Yeah, I said Bryce Huff. Yep.
Yeah, Zuniga.
Zuniga.
Round pick.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a whole bunch of other guys that have zero chance of making it. Jonathan Marshall.
Jonathan Marshall, who I think he could be a practice squad guy, maybe.
Yeah.
Also, Blair from the 49ers, right?
Ronald Blair.
He's on the roster. He probably won't make it, I don't think, but I don't know.
It's going to be tough. And obviously, based on kind of position-wise, there's a lot of interior guys, it seems, like a Nathan Shepard and Foley Fadukasi and Sheldon Rankins. Obviously, Quentin Williams is the main guy.
That's why I think Nathan Shepard might be on the bubble. If they like Jonathan Marshall a lot and they don't feel comfortable putting him on the practice squad, they might just say, "See ya, Nathan."
Right.
So
it's a good question though, yeah, because I mean, eight man rotation. I mean, it's probably even going to be a little bit deeper than that, you'd think, right? Because it kind of depends on positional. But if you think about 8 men, there's going to be 4 down linemen. So that's only 2 deep in each position. So it's going to be deeper than that.
Yeah, it could be 10. They keep legitimately.
Right. And I have no problem. They can keep as many D linemen as they want, keep those guys fresh, and let's get after it.
Yeah, Blair, when I remember reading about him and learning about him, what I remember reading was that he was one of the better run defenders on the edge. Not in the NFL, I don't think, but he was a solid run defender. So that would be one of the reasons why you'd keep him. Put him on one side in maybe in some short yardage situation. Make an impact. Frankie, good quote. If you like winning, you like.
I like winning.
Yeah, and Ronald Blair, he was actually talking about Salo saying that he thinks he has a future in coaching.
Yes.
So, interesting.
Yeah. All right, cool. Dog. We've had many a dog on this channel. DJ.
Sorry.
No, you're good. DJ Bianame, the New York Daily News, he has a dog. Chad has a dog. You've got a dog.
Yeah.
All good. All right. I'm going to say goodnight to these 2. You guys stick around. We can do more chatting, but hasta la vista, you two. Thanks so much. See you guys.
Have a good night, guys.
Yep. Later, man.
Good night.
Night, guys. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to yeah, there we go. All right. So there we go. Let's see. So I'm still here. I'm not gonna go yet. I'm gonna try to pull a green bean right now. If you guys want to talk, if you have questions, if you want to call in, I could do some call-ins right now. I will throw the number in the chat. 347-921-1468. If you guys want to do a call-in, if you want to talk, we can wrap this up in a little bit, but I thought I'd give you guys an opportunity to just have a little bit more of the focus on you. Grant Rude says, legit question. How is a defensive-minded coach not know offense and vice versa? Offensive coaches not knowing defense. That's a great question. So I think that it's just the background that they have in their coaching careers. Like, you know, a Todd Bowles, for example, like I just don't think that he had enough exposure in his career to know enough about offense. It's not that he doesn't know like the X's and O's per se. I think that's for sure. I think anybody knows the X's and O's, but it's Fern, you're cracking me up all night, dude. I think it's one of those things, like just exposure and experience in those different position groups and things like that. Yeah, after hours, baby. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, phone line open. And if you guys want to list a couple of questions in the chat, I'm good with that as well. But I thought I'd try this. See if we can do a little after hours conversation. I don't know what else to talk about here. Vern, are you looking for an STD? Oh, gosh. It's the best, man. I love this. Yeah, Vern. I don't think I've seen this side of Vern the whole time we've been doing this channel. He is on point tonight. Here we go. How much better are the press conferences with Saleh? He can actually answer questions. So glad Gase is gone. Dude, it's crazy. And he was talking today. Somebody asked him about the, how do you view like disciplining players when they mess up? And he gave such an articulate answer, a well thought out answer. And he talked about how, you want to teach accountability. You don't want to force accountability. And again, he gave a very polite answer because they were specifically asking because of the Giants situation that happened at training camp where they had a massive fight and Daniel Jones was apparently in the mix of it, which is just absolutely stupidity by those players. And their coach made them do gassers and push-ups and all this other crazy stuff. And again, Saleh he is a born leader. This guy is a natural at communication and just leading a team. The Vern. Oh my God. For Vane, I don't think that they don't know the side of the ball. Rather, they just aren't comfortable enough to teach each position group. Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. You wouldn't see, it's not that Todd Bowles doesn't know the responsibilities and maybe proper technique of a tight end, but just, that's not his expertise, I guess, if you will. Kind of like a teacher might have an expertise on certain topics or subjects, and you wouldn't expect a high school math teacher to teach a bunch of elementary kids science. It's just one of those things. Of course, they're a teacher at heart and, with their experiences, but it's just kind of one of those things where if you don't have experience in it, it's kind of hard. Double rapid, bro. Oh, man, I like after hours. This is fun. Oh, my gosh. All right, well, I'm not getting any phone calls from you bozos, so I'll go ahead and wrap it up. I will go ahead and throw this. Let me see if I can do my thing. Let me see if I can share my screen. There we go. Okay, so Vern, you were asking about the how do you see the stream schedule? So on the screen right now, you should see at the top right here the live stream schedule. Wednesdays at 8. Post-game show every Sunday at 8 Eastern. And the beautiful thing now, Vern, and like I mentioned earlier, I will be able to communicate with you guys as soon as YouTube finishes finalizing whatever they need to do. I will have a community tab, and if there's going to be no streams, I can send that message out to all of you guys. And so it'll just be easy. You can also follow me on Twitter. I post stuff like that on Twitter all the time. We got a phone call. Let's do this thing.
Call from. To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
What's going on? It's NYJ today. Who's this?
Hey, man. How's it going? This is Carlos.
Carlos, how you doing, man? It's good to hear from you.
How's it going, man? I was just waiting for you to put your number on the screen for me to call in.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Sorry, I put it in the chat. My bad.
Definitely. So I wanted to call in real quick just to talk about, the Jets signing a veteran quarterback. I know he's not the veteran that people wanted, but at the end of the day, what we got to keep in mind, this year is about developing our players. And I think this is Joe Douglas' long-term plan for this season, to look at the players that we have and come next season to see the additions that we need to make.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. There was a video that I almost made it. I haven't recorded it yet, but I was going to make a video talking about how this is truly an evaluation year. I think a lot of Jets fans really, really want this team to catapult and make the playoffs this year. But I think we're all a year early because this is, like you said, Carlos, this is an evaluation year. They're trying to assess, the 2020 draft class. They're trying to assess the 21 draft class. So I'm with you completely.
Definitely, I think that's what the season is about. And then I was watching the live chat and I saw you talking about Mims. I think Mims just needs adjustment, especially with the new offensive coaches that we have. I think they're going to put him in a position where he's going to be Zach Wilson's main target in the red zone. I think he's going to take maybe the tight end reps away in the end zone as we can rely on our tight end. And over time, I think Mims will be our number 2, at the minimum, our number 3.
No, I agree. I think you make a good point. That's kind of why I get so frustrated hearing about everybody being down on Mims. I think he can fill that role more than adequately. And I think you're absolutely right. A red zone threat, he can kind of replace the role that a tight end might play in the red zone. And that's good enough for me, man. Like, again, he's only in his second year. He needs some development. He's in a new offense, like you mentioned. I don't see a problem with that at all.
No, exactly. And I understand where a lot of the Jet fans are coming from, where we need to win now. This is the year. I mean, I would love to make the playoffs. But just alone, even if we have a bad record, as long as we see Zach wasn't being developed and we're in a lot of these games, that's a successful season. That's going to put Joe Douglas in a way where, okay, let's go get a corner. Let's go get a right guard, maybe a right tackle. Let's go get the missing pieces in free agency, and let alone in the draft.
Yep. No, I'm with you, man. I think you're absolutely right. And I think that's what Joe Douglas wants to see from Zach Wilson before he goes all in. And I think I think that's what you're exactly right on. Is this 22 off season, the next off season? I think we're going to see a really, really aggressive Joe Douglas if Zach Wilson proves himself this year.
Oh, exactly. For the people that say, oh, Joe Douglas doesn't pay their own people, he doesn't spend money. Look what added in the off season. That's money spent. Now, he didn't overpay. Of course, he's not Mike McCannon, of course, but because of that situation, we're still paying Le'Veon Bell. We're still paying, what's that corner?
Tremaine Johnson.
Yeah. We're still having dead money because of that. Mm-hmm. Come this season, we're gonna have full money, and let alone what Joe Douglas is gonna do. And a lot of free agents are gonna see what the Jets are doing, that they're going to want to come and play for the Jets. They're not going to have to overpay anymore. Joe Douglas has his price. He's fair. You want it or you don't. Okay, let's move on.
Yep. No, dude, you're preaching to the choir, and I love your takes, dude. You're echoing a lot of what Jets fans believe and feel. I know that not everybody agrees with everything that we say, but like, there's a lot of people that a lot of people agree with what you're saying, for sure.
Oh man, of course, man. We all have our own opinions, but at the end of the day, we have to look at the long-term picture. If we want the success that all these winning organizations are having right now, it all starts with management, spending well, building the team the right way. This is what I tell a lot of people. They make fun of the Jets. They make fun of everything. I'm like, okay, but not. You got to keep in mind where were the Saints before Sean Payton got there? Where were all these winning organizations before their GM or their coaches got there?
Exactly.
They built it the right way, and now they're constantly contending. They're no more the laugh of the. They're not laughing at them anymore.
Dude, you're right.
But the one thing I will disagree with you is I believe that we should trade Crowder. And this is the reason why. I'm all for giving Zach Wilson a weapon to develop and to get used to the game. But if Moore is doing what he's doing in practice and he does it in the preseason, we need more on the field as well to develop to the next step. And having that connect with Zach Wilson and Moore to even grow faster and stronger will be better.
Dude, I have no problem with you disagreeing, and I appreciate you. You know, I mean, I feel like not enough people do that with me specifically. I know people like to challenge Mike a lot, but I don't feel like I get enough from you guys. And so it's refreshing to hear people say they don't agree with my takes. So I do appreciate you, dude. And I hear you, you know, trading Crowder and letting Elijah Moore fill the role. There's definitely an argument that could be made for that type of decision. Carlos, my man, thank you so much for calling, man.
Appreciate it, man. Love your takes, and I'll be on when you're live again.
Dude,
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. You have a great night.
You too.
All right, brother, take it easy. What a phone call. My man spitting facts. I love the part where he was talking about where were the Saints, you know, before Sean Payton and Drew Brees came along. They were the Aints. You know, where were the Kansas City Chiefs even? All of this losing in the playoffs, you know, before Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid came along. Even, you know, Alex Smith was there, and, you know, they just hadn't quite put it all together. And so, yeah, it's just one of those things. You got to hit on the quarterback. You got to hit on your head coach. So we got to wait and see. Great phone call. Carlos, you're the man. Vern, that's a great question. I don't think he comments. I could be wrong on that. Carlos, if you're in the chat, let us know who you are. I don't think he comments, though. I think he's one of those people that just watches the show. And he seems to enjoy calling in because he's done it now twice. So, wonderful phone call. Thank you so much for calling in. Cliff, he says, Marcus May isn't a Joe Douglas guy. Let's see how he deals with people that he signed. Yes. Like a Corey Davis, you know, a Carl Lawson, you know, when these guys come up for their next contract, will Joe Douglas keep them? And again, I'm more interested in the players that Joe Douglas has drafted. When those guys come up for contracts, what will he do? And not just players that he's drafted, players that have earned a second contract. I'm thinking of Quinnen Williams. If Quinnen Williams doesn't get a second contract from the Jets, that's bad. Especially if he does what we think he's going to do this year, which is absolutely feast and beast. I would be very disappointed and concerned if that situation arised. That would be bad. All right. I'll give you guys a couple more seconds. Grant, you can call in, man. I'm ready for you. And then we will wrap this thing up. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. And I will, like I said, I will be doing uploads while we're at Disney World. So keep your eyes peeled for those. And the Victor Green interview is coming out Friday and Saturday. I'm really, really excited to share that with you guys. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you tune in for the Victor Green video and watch it. I'm very excited about it. It was a blast to talk with a player. I had never had that opportunity before. So it was just awesome. And I do have another player that I am in talks with, or not the player themselves. I'm talking to their PR person. So if I do get a hold of that player, I will let you guys know.
Call from
Grant from Saskatoon.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
What up, Grant?
John, 1,000 subs. Way to go, buddy.
Hey, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You've been here the
That's
whole
awesome.
time.
Absolutely. I remember day one, and yeah, just right off the bat, I just loved your stuff. So congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you, man.
Before I get into my real question here, I just want to let Carlos know it's actually pronounced McDumdum, not McCagnon.
Man, McDumdum, it sounds like something that should be on the McDonald's dollar menu.
Well, that's where he deserves to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And then, getting back into the defensive-minded coach, offensive-minded coach thing, it's been kind of bugging me for a couple of years, to be honest with you. It doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, with Robert Saleh being the defensive-minded coach, and assuming everything goes well, Zach Wilson turns into a superstar, our offense is rolling 2-3 years down the line, LaFleur gets a go at a head coaching job. Where do we turn from there? How well is Saleh connected? And then thinking back to Rex Ryan, his first 2 years where we were fucking crazy in love with the guy, and then suddenly he fell off a cliff and we couldn't get him out fast enough. I'm not comparing the two.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I think Saleh's a much more mature, composed type of person, and he seems to be taking a more head coach approach, which is fantastic. But do you see any potential for a downfall there without his best friend calling plays for his offense?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll real quick hit on the Rex Ryan thing. So I was one of those people. I liked Rex Ryan, of course, because he was just too likable to not like him, if that makes any sense. But he wore out his welcome with me. I never really liked the press conference BS that he used to do. But my brother and my dad, to this day, they still love Rex Ryan. Like they hated that he wasn't the coach, that they let him go. So I hear you with that one. But he wore out his welcome with me. I never liked any of that stuff. But anyway, to answer your question, with the Mike LaFleur thing, that is the ideal scenario. I thought it was so ridiculous when people were talking about how he was a good candidate and the Jets, they're going to suffer because he might get a job and not be their coordinator. I just think that's ridiculous. If I could sign on the dotted line right now that he was so good that he would not be our offensive coordinator in 2 years, sign me the hell up right now. I will sign that dotted line right now. But
totally agree.
Yeah. So hopefully, and again, answering your question, what do we do in that circumstance? Hopefully we have kind of this coaching staff where people can take over that are already currently on the staff. Like in San Francisco, they had the guy, the running game coordinator. I don't know his name off the top of my head.
Oh yeah.
Is it Daniels or McDaniel or something? It's Daniels, I think. Mike Daniels.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I can't remember his name for sure, but I think he's their offensive coordinator now. Like they promoted within, I think. I'm pretty sure. But even if that's not the case, that's kind of what I hope for. I hope that our offensive staff, there's somebody that's been learning under LaFleur and that could just step right in, and we wouldn't have to do this whole thing where we change our offensive scheme every 2 to 3 years. Okay, Vervain just came in the chat. Mike McDaniel. So I was almost right.
Very close.
Yeah, so I think he's there. I think he got promoted to offensive coordinator. And to me, that's the ideal scenario. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. But that's what I would hope for to answer your question. I would hope somebody could step in and just keep the offense going.
Yeah, that's something interesting to note, too, is if we get a new offensive coordinator, do we switch systems?
I don't know. If they did, if they were hiring outside of the organization, it seems unlikely that it would be the same system. But it could be, I guess, technically. And that's kind of why I like the idea of hiring within, is like it's almost certainly going to be some sort of spin-off of what LaFleur had been doing. But that's what I would like them to do. That would be my perfect scenario.
Yeah, that's kind of my biggest concern too. Like, yeah, I definitely want LaFleur to take off and fine, great, get that head coaching job wherever in a couple years, 3-4 years down the road, whatever. But then where does the Jets offense go from there? So that's kind of my thinking. I guess I have higher expectations than I put out there, maybe.
Yeah, no, that is a different take than I've heard from you. I think we've talked a little bit about it before, but man, listen, that would be outstanding because that means something went really, really well. Like 100% would mean that Wilson took off, the offense looked good, It was, the play calling was solid. So again, it would suck for sure in 2 or 3 years, 4 years, whatever it ended up being. If we lost him, it would suck, but it would also be one of those things where, like, how mad can you really be? Like, the 49ers got to a Super Bowl with Saleh running the defense. So how mad could they possibly be losing him? So I don't know, man. I think that's how I would take it.
Yeah, cool. All right, thanks for taking my call.
Definitely, dude. Look forward to talking to you. Hope to see you on the 18th.
Yeah, you bet. Talk to you later.
All right, man. Later. Guys are the best. That's why I want you guys on the channel as much as I can get you on the channel, because I am no expert. I'm just a dumb fan like the rest of you guys. And so that is why the voices of, the people who watch this channel and the people that I invite on the channel, I think that that's one of my, best strengths as a content creator, is that I'm not some sage of the room. I'm not going to pretend like I know the best. And I'm always open to collaborating and getting other people's voices, because that's what good leaders do, or that's what good, people in any industry, that's what they do. They get people who are smarter than them involved. And I love phone calls like that. It's just the absolute best to hear from you guys. Couple more seconds I'll give you for another phone call, and then we'll wrap it up. I've just had an awesome time tonight. It's been a lot of fun connecting with you guys. Eagle Fang. Dude, trust me. We did, so when the channel first started, which was back in January, we had 25 weeks in a row of streams. Every single Wednesday we streamed for 25 weeks in a row, which is almost a half of a year, calendar year. So trust me, brother, the Wednesday streams on the 18th, it's going to be every single week. And then also on the Sunday stream, that's going to be every single week. So we're going to be doing more streams than we've ever done before. Wednesday stream, Sunday stream, every week. I'm going to upload on Fridays, and I can show you what that looks like. I'm going to do probably only one video a week during the season. Maybe more if I have time, but I'm doing a weekly breakdown. It'll look something like this on Fridays. There will be a video that'll come out, and I will break down the matchups that are coming up, or that is coming up, I should say. So there's going to be plenty of more, man. Plenty of more content. Vern, Jets Central is the man. He is an OG of Jets content on YouTube. He's a good dude. I've talked with him before. It's kind of one of those situations. It's like what I mentioned earlier, working with Joe Caporoso. I put Jets Central in that same, realm. I'm not going to go to these guys and ask them to be on my channel right now. I don't think that I've, earned my place quite yet. Maybe that's a bad way of looking at it, but I just feel like, I'm connecting with people that I think, not on the same playing field as me, but, that I've earned the right to reach out to them, I guess, if that makes any sense. I'm trying to be as humble as I can. I'm not going to go up to, the best of the best in the industry. I'm going to work my way up the ladder. But Jet Central's great, man. He has such great knowledge of the college game. That's something that I'm going to be working on to improve on, because I know it's something that I'm a little bit weak in. But he's great. He knows a lot about college football, knows a lot about the players and the coaches and the programs that they're running. Actually, he's been on Jake Asman's channel recently. If you go to Jake Asman's channel, he recently streamed with, his name is Ian from Jets Central. And typically my understanding is that, Jets Central typically wants to do things primarily by himself. That's just kind of his thing. So that's another reason why. But yeah, man, collaboration's my thing. I enjoy it very much. I like working with other people. I like hearing from other people. I get I get chuckles and I get excited hearing from people that don't agree with me and just kind of going back and forth. That's why I love doing this so much. All right. That's going to be it. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Hope you all have an awesome night. Enjoy the preseason game. I will not be on until, after the preseason game has aired. On the 18th is when we will be streaming next. But man, just so much to be excited about. Hope you guys are having a great time with your, the last bit of summer that we have left. Have an awesome night. Go Jets. And a word from my daughter. Peace, guys. Good night.